this computer, and then we're going to go live on Facebook as well. Share screen. How's everybody doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good, doing very well. I like
really good.
Good to see all of you. Rosario, Caitlin, Olivia. Is that Fanny as well?
No, I'm Bridget. Would it be easier if we went on separate devices, or should we just go on the same one?
You guys are fine. Oh, I didn't even see you were up there. So Bridget and Olivia are in the same. Okay, perfect. That works. Great. And let's see. How do we go live on Facebook? Boom. Let's get this thing going. I think that should do it.
Can I say something real quick?
You can say whatever you want.
If it makes it any easier, you could just call me Rosie. I'm okay with Rosie or Rosario. Either one works for me.
Rosie, okay, gotcha. And let's see, are we live on Facebook now? Our chat. Okay, perfect. So great. Now we are fully documented. Typically, just so you know, I really appreciate you girls being able to come out and support the poetry competition. A lot of our members come, I think typically, you know, it's like 102 right now. So a lot of people will start showing up, I think like around 105, 107. It's kind of the New York thing, like 10 minutes late or whatever. But we can't wait to hear you guys' poems. Robert Kramer was the actual judge. And I was thinking that maybe Robert, if you had some sort of thoughts on the poems.
Actually, I was in the process of moving and did not pay the amount of attention that I should have. And I apologize for that. But I wanted to thank the students from Mary Lewis Academy for persisting during the COVID experience. When everybody else seemed to give up, or so many schools gave up, and you guys kept writing. And also, is your teacher here?
She'll be joining us. She'll be joining us hopefully a little bit later. She said she'll try to make it in like 1:35, 1:40. So we'll see. Apparently, she's doing classes, you know, as a teacher.
But I just wanted to attach a personal note here that I used to go when I was in high school. I used to go to dances at Mary Lewis. I don't know if you still have dances with other schools, together with other schools.
You still
no? Well, anyway, I have happy memories of Mary Lewis, and I was hoping my sister would go there, but she chose Dominican Commercial instead. So anyway, thank you guys for participating.
Robert Kramer is a old-time alum of Xavier High School here in New York City. So the thrill of his year as a young man was to go and meet the young, beautiful women of Mary Louise Academy for the dance that they had. And he was asking whether or not you guys still have the dances, or no?
We just have prom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have dances.
I don't think there's a difference, really. It's still like a get together if you think about it.
Yeah, dancing used to be a big thing. I don't know if maybe on TikTok it's still a thing, the dancing. But Roberto, good to see you. Gerald, good to see you. And Fanny's with us.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Roberto. Roberto is one of the major poetry publishers out of Mexico City. He's joining us today. Are you still in Mexico City, or did you make it back to New York?
I'm in New York now.
Back
Yes.
to New York. Great news. And Gerald, how is everything?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. You look well.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So 1:05 now.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, can you hear? Can you hear me?
iPad number
Hear
8.
me? It's Patrice Wall.
Oh, Patrice. Well,
Yes, iPad number 8 is
you made it.
marvelous.
So Robert Patrice is joining us.
I made it. I actually managed to access Wi-Fi in the locker room. Yeah, but the present time. I just lost that already.
I'm not gonna lie, the Wi-Fi down there, that is an achievement. So,
I have Wi-Fi outside the locker room. Yes, it's a miracle. If I were in a classroom, it would be fine, but I'm in the locker room.
Now
I can't get my picture on. I'm sorry. I'm here.
Are you the coach of the Mary Louise rugby team? Or
No. I run the poetry club. I'm considered so last competition I was commended in the Hippocrates Prize for Poetry and Medicine. It's from the University of Warwick in England.
very cool, very cool.
It's a really good competition.
That's great to hear. And you were just recently published yourself in a poetry article. I think the locker room is the Wi-Fi there is not so great, right? It's good.
Published. I wouldn't say the Wi-Fi is not good in the locker room, but this is where I'm on duty. The Wi-Fi is not good. I've been published. I got published a lot in First Things magazine and in America.
Very cool. Very cool.
Where
Hopefully, Patrice, maybe you brought a poem to share as well. That would be nice.
David, Phil, it means me. They're talking to him.
Okay, so well,
if I can manage to find one on the iPad, I'll read it. If I can find one on my iPad,
that would be great.
it's just that you may totally lose me because the Wi-Fi is so bad down here. I didn't expect to read. That's why I don't have one with me.
Gotcha. No worries. Well, I think we should just kick things off. It's 1:07 p.m. Maybe we'll wait to. Typically, I like to wait to about 1:08 just to see who else is coming through. So we'll give it another minute. But it's good to see everybody. It's a bit. Look, this is Fanny. Hi, Fanny. She's our oldest member, I think. And how old are you, Fanny?
98.
98 years old. Isn't that fantastic? And we have Tom Diagidio and his massive book collection in the background as well. So typically, let me just start off and say, typically during our May celebration, we've been meeting at the National Arts Club down in Gramercy Park over the years. And this would be our annual May luncheon to celebrate and remember the birth of Robert Browning on May 7th. We typically would have a speaker and everyone would be having, some sort of fancy lunch and dessert. And unfortunately, due to the situation abroad, that we won't be able to have that celebration in that manner this season. However, I just want to thank everyone for showing up. And wow, it's a good looking bunch. So my favorite part of the year is the poetry competition. And we invite over 120 high schools in the New York City area to participate in this competition each year. Because of the current flux in situation with schools being open or closed or teachers and Zoom and all this stuff, we didn't have as many submissions as typically we do. However, all the submissions that we did get were excellent, and we have the winners here with us today. So that's fantastic. And in regards to the roundtable participation element of this particular meeting, this was the brainchild of Robert Kramer and Tom Diagidio. Tom, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So we are now at a round table of the mind, a marketplace of ideas. And some of the best ideas I've found in my life to be are poems or thoughts, magical thoughts that come in to the brain and it just transfers into the hand and you write it down on the page. We are so fortunate to have some young poets join us today for this celebration. So I'd like to kick it. Why not? Can we kick it off with some poetry? Does that sound fun for everybody? Okay, so do you want me to do my wrestling announcer voice? Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from New York City, the winners of the New York Browning Society Poetry Competition, we have Bridget Farrell, Olivia Zeno, Caitlin Leahy, and on our short list, we have Rosario Pastrana Palmer. Let's give a round of applause for all of our winners today. I don't know if that sounds good. So I'd like to hear our first place winner, Bridget, read her poem. And just to let you guys know, thank God, all of our winners have also recorded their poems separately. So we will have them also. We'll have this live performance on the website, but we will also have their own poems separately recorded to be on the website. So I look forward to seeing those. But Bridget, are you ready to read?
Yes, I am ready.
And Bridget is a multi-winner. She's one of the few people that has won the award multiple times. So she's a true champion. So we'd love to hear your poem and tell us about it.
So this poem is titled Head in the Clouds, and it is inspired by Elizabeth Barrett Browning's The House of Clouds. Cumulus, chandeliers of stars, tapestries of rain, with prisms to reflect my joy, with prisms to refract my joy and mirrors to reflect my pain. Cirrus, a mighty palace, once upon a time, a castle stood erect and strong, opaque against the sea glass sky. Nimbus, the storm rumbles from a distance, with a vengeance swift as its light. It will crack the walls and set the curtains alight against the darkening night. Cumulonimbus, towers turn to wisps, walls dissolve to tears. Battered by the great howling winds, the winds of sorrows of the years. Stratus, with footsteps soft upon the floor, I tread these old and empty halls of a heavenly edifice whose history the sky recalls. Thank you.
Now, Bridget, can we ask you if you could do that one more time, but a little bit slower, just so that everyone can hear exactly every single word? Would that be okay?
Of course. Sorry.
Yeah.
Cumulus, chandeliers of stars, tapestries of rain, with prisms to refract my joy and mirrors to reflect my pain. Cirrus, a mighty palace, once upon a time, a castle stood erect and strong, opaque against the sea glass sky. Nimbus, the storm rumbles from a distance, with a vengeance swift as its light. It will crack the walls and set the curtains alight against the darkening night. Cumulonimbus, towers turn to wisps, walls dissolve to tears. Battered by the great howling winds, the winds of sorrows of the years. Stratus, with footsteps soft upon the floor, I tread these old and empty halls of a heavenly edifice whose history the sky recalls. Thank you.
That was excellent.
Thank you.
What was your inspiration for this particular poem, other than the
When I read Elizabeth's The House of Clouds, it also reminded me of the song Castle in the Clouds from Les Mis, which is my favorite musical. So this is sort of like dually inspired. So I basically structured it according to different types of clouds. And so I did my research with that. Like cumulus is like a sunny sky. Cirrus is when the winds come. Nimbus is a storm, like a storm is coming. Cumulonimbus is basically a storm cloud, and then stratus is kind of the fog left over. So I structured the entire poem based on kind of those different stages of the sky and the different stages of this, essentially this house of clouds that Elizabeth Barrett Browning described that like housed her thoughts. So it kind of showed the gradual like destruction and then rebuilding and then wandering through all of that.
It's excellent. Anyone have any thoughts on the poem?
I'm very proud of you, Bridget.
Thank you, Dr. Wolin. I couldn't have done it without you.
I'm very proud of you, Bridget.
Thank you.
I love the line chandelier of clouds. Now, the reason why you say that is you didn't know you could write poetry until I asked you to enter this competition 3 years ago. I did not see this poem on the class until she was ready to hand it in.
Well, that was an excellent poem. Thank you so much. Let's give another
Thank you,
round of applause for Bridget. All right, so
Thank you for setting this up.
what's that?
I said thank you for setting all this up. I know it was difficult this year, so.
Absolutely. It's honestly, this is one of the big joys I have is all young, excited people writing poetry. It keeps the art alive.
It does.
Yes, correct. And Patrice, you're doing an amazing job at really, harvesting some poetic talent.
Thank you.
So let's go to our next winner. If she's ready, Caitlin, are you ready to read? So this is from the Mary Louise Academy. Let's give a round of applause for Caitlin Leahy and her award-winning poem.
Thank you. So this poem is loosely based off of Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poem, Sabbath Morning at Sea, published in 1839. So I hope you enjoy it. It's called Artificial Ocean. Do you ever notice that every single fish moves in such a way that it expresses its own individuality in one single stroke? It's kind of a silly thing I've taken into account, I must admit. It's not something that keeps me up at night, though. I don't lie awake in bed thinking about something. Even when my body attempts to do so, I get so anxious my body shuts down completely, and I fall asleep somehow. I remember the last time I truly thought about that, other than now, of course. I was at the aquarium. I loved the way the tank glass reflected each room or exhibit, creating this peaceful Pacific light shining ever so delicately on your body. It instills some sense of tranquility in your brain that maybe, just maybe, everything will get better. I love watching the blue tangs timidly waltz back and forth, back and forth. Routine is their regime. The clownfish carefully guiding their young, the seahorses gliding upright with their almost mutant minuscule fins, all fixated on getting to their desired destination. Do they know that they can't really escape the tank? I feel this dragging sense of pity when children press their grubby young faces on the glass, watching these marine creatures float on and on, on and on and on and dreadfully on, repeating the same swimming pattern from the last time they cycled around their enclosure, like a hamster on its wheel. If a hamster was idiotically drowning in the infinitely cerulean waters of purgatory. Do fish know that they were trapped for a reason? Do they have any idea that they're no more than a vehicle of entertainment for the worst primitive form to ever live on this earth? Do we know that we die, suffer, and weep for the sake of the unknown? Aren't we unknown to all, yet known by many, aren't we? Even still, we shrug our shoulders, rub off our days of sleep and unrest, and float along to the ebbs and flows of the artificial ocean, a mere plaything for some alien life form above. Thank you.
That was excellent, Caitlin. Do we have any, I have a question. Does anyone else have any questions about this particular poem? Tom?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
It sounds extremely personal to me. It's a very powerful kind of self-portrait of a sort, and not everybody has the courage to attempt that.
Thank you.
And Robert, did you have any thoughts?
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed it, but it reminds me of a poem by Kafka's best friend, Max Brod, who has a poem about the goldfish and the fish tank too, and the parallel between the human situation and the situation of the fish in the fish tank being observed.
And Caitlin, what was your inspiration? Did you put your head into an aquarium and see things differently?
So I remember writing this for my creative writing class. I decided to do some poetry for one of my grades, and I was basically inspired by this scene of an aquarium of like a summer or two ago. I went to the New York Aquarium, and it's been several years since I've been there. The first time I went there, I was 3 years old. And I remember just standing in one exhibit, staring at like the blue tank with all the fish swimming around. And I was very moved by that scene. And that, with a combination of reading Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poem, Sabbath Morning at Sea, that inspired me to tweak the poem a bit. And that's basically what inspired my poem.
Well, it was fantastic. Thank you so much. Robert, what would you?
I just wanted to say that I've been working on a poem about strange fish in the aquarium, those big tanks, and I haven't been able to finish it. And I congratulate you on completing it with quality.
So Caitlin,
That means so much.
Caitlin
Thank
used
you.
Elizabeth Browning to tweak her version, and now Robert's going to use Caitlin to tweak.
I also wanted to mention that there's an old favorite poem of mine by Sandra Hochman, a New York poet that used to be much better known, called The Goldfish Wife. If you can get hold of it, The Goldfish Wife by Sandra Hochman, and I think she would enjoy that.
Thank you. I'll definitely look that up.
The Goldfish Wife. And Leslie, what do you think? Are you enjoying the performances?
That made me cry.
I know, I got tears too.
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was
Yeah, hopefully in a good
astounding.
way.
Were you talking about a large fish tank like at an aquarium, or were you talking about those that people have in their homes?
I was talking about a big ginormous tank that you would find at an aquarium. Not like a fish tank with tiny fish that you would get at Petco. Usually it was like assorted fish from an aquarium, and I was inspired by that scene when I went to the aquarium a year or two ago.
But it could apply to these home fish tanks as well, which that's always what I think when I see them. There was at the Central Park Zoo, it had to have been 10, 15 years ago, there was a famous polar bear who is in the same situation. I've just blanked on his name. His name was Gus. He was named Gus. and he became famous because he was in not a tank, but well, yes, a tank with rocks and everything. And he started to swim back and forth the same way every day, all day long, not doing anything else. And he was extremely depressed. They found him depressed. So they actually brought in a psychologist to work with him and gave him other activities to do. But the basic problem was that he was too confined. And a few years after he passed away, and it made the news and everything, because we went to see him several times, and this reminded me of that as well. And the name of the poem of did you say of Elizabeth Browning? Which one was that I didn't?
It's Sabbath Morning at Sea, which is published in 1839.
Thank you.
And
so congratulations.
Congratulations, Caitlin. And just out of curiosity, I honestly, to be totally honest, I'd like to hear the poem again. Is that so crazy? If we can hear it one more time?
Definitely not. I'll read it again gladly.
Fantastic.
Okay. Do you ever notice that every single fish moves in such a way that it expresses its own individuality in one single stroke? It's kind of a silly thing I've taken into account, I must admit. It's not something that keeps me up at night, though. I don't lie awake in bed thinking about something. Even when my body even attempts to do so, I get so anxious my body shuts down completely and I fall asleep somehow. I remember the last time I truly thought about that, other than now, of course. I was at the aquarium. I loved the way the tank glass reflected each room or exhibit, creating this peaceful Pacific light shining ever so delicately on your body. It instills some sense of tranquility in your brain that maybe, just maybe, everything will get better. I love watching the blue tangs timidly waltz back and forth, back and forth. Routine is their regime. The clownfish carefully guiding their young, the seahorses gliding upright with their almost mutant minuscule fins, all fixated on getting to their desired destination. Do they know that they can't really escape the tank? I feel this dragging sense of pity when children press their grubby young faces on the glass, watching these marine creatures float on and on, on and on and on and dreadfully on, repeating the same swimming pattern from the last time they cycled around their enclosure, like a hamster on its wheel. If a hamster was idiotically drowning in the infinitely cerulean waters of purgatory. Do fish know that they were trapped for a reason? Do they have any idea that they're no more than a vehicle of entertainment for the worst primitive form to ever live on this earth? Do we know that we die, suffer, and weep for the sake of the unknown? Aren't we unknown to all, yet known by many? Aren't we? Even still, we shrug our shoulders, rub off our days of sleep and unrest, and float along to the ebbs and flows of the artificial ocean, a mere plaything for some alien life form above. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right. This party's getting started. So let's see. Somebody's coming in from the fishbowl dimension. What's funny is I actually have an aquarium, and my fish died maybe 4 weeks ago, and it was because they were changing the pipes out in the road, and so the water, I refilled the water, and the water was bad. I had no idea that the water was bad. but I filled it, and unfortunately the fish had to, you know, ingest that. But my experience with fish, because I like fish, is when you buy them and you put them in a bag, right? You put them in a bag with the water and you put them in your back. That must be like the most hallucinogenic experience for something to be put into a bag and then be transported from one place, and then all of a sudden they're in this artificial ocean, as you put it. It's a crazy sort of thing. I love the poem. Thank you so much for sharing, Caitlin.
Thank you for letting me share.
Now, are we ready for some more winners? Let's give it up. Olivia, are you ready to read a poem, share a poem with us?
Hi, yes, how are you?
Okay, great. So we have, you know,
Hi.
you can breathe better now, and we'd love to hear a poem.
Sure. So this is my poem, Lover's Promise, inspired.
1 second, we have a problem.
Olivia just got done with an AP test.
Well, congratulations. Hopefully you get that college credit you deserve.
I hope so. Thank you.
So
This is my.
The test is over. This is the fun part, all right? The hard work is done. You are a winner. Let's hear the award-winning poem.
Thank you. This is my poem, A Lover's Promise, inspired by How Do I Love Thee, Sonnet 43 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love you more than the horrors I loathe the very most. There's no darkness, dragon, or monster that will keep me from your reach. I love how it's always you I talk to before I fall asleep. How you take my small and whimpering voice and make it a lion's boast. I love when you craft sweet memories I long to always keep. And when you whisper that you love me, providing sweet relief. For you, my love, I would run coast to coast, and to the moon I would dare leap, for our love that runs so deep. I love the way your love only seems to grow. If you asked me to climb the tallest mountain, I would race up to its peak. And if you wanted me back, I would jump, no matter how steep. I trust your love as much as I trust the waters to flow. Although our love is passionate and there are bounties still to reap, it's impossible to promise that trouble will never come sweeping our love into knots and cause anger to overflow. I will always love you and the way you turn words melodious just by speaking. We could live in fear of the conflicts always creeping, just as in these oceans we live in fear of the mysteries down below. Yet this love is one for the ages. The stories will guard it for safekeeping. We are the example, the one they continue teaching. Juliet bid farewell to her dear Romeo, Orpheus to Eurydice promising no peeking, Gatsby and Daisy, some loves are ever fleeting. As the waves crash with Katerina and her sweet Arturo, you, my love, I'll treasure until my heart ceases beating. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Olivia, is there a possibility that we can hear that the last stanza again slower with all the names?
Sorry.
Would that be okay?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay. 1 second.
Does someone have extra sound on, because it's very disturbing?
We're in the conference room and it's right next to the gym. That was the only place we could go this period since we were in school.
Oh, but I don't think it's that. I think it's a radio or a TV or.
Hold on, let me see.
Mr. Robert, your mic is on.
Yeah, I think if people just turn off their mics, that'll help, except for the speaker.
So.
Let me,
Mute your mic.
Try to figure out how.
There's one outlier, and I think it stops. It was Leslie the whole time, wasn't it? Oh, no. All right, so Olivia, you can unmute your mic, and we'd love to hear the poem again, if that's possible.
The whole thing or just the last stanza?
I'd like to hear the whole thing. Is that okay?
All right, sure. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love you more than the horrors I loathe the very most. There's no darkness, dragon, or monster that will keep me from your reach.
I love how it's always you I talk to before I fall asleep. How you take my small and whimpering voice and make it a lion's boast. I love when you craft sweet memories I long to always keep, and when you whisper that you love me, providing sweet relief. For you, my love, I would run coast to coast, and to the moon I would dare leap, for our love that runs so deep. I love the way your love only seems to grow. If you asked me to climb the tallest mountain, I would race up to its peak, and if you wanted me back, I would jump, no matter how steep. I trust your love as much as I trust the waters to flow. Although our love is passionate and there are bounties still to reap, it's impossible to promise that trouble will never come sweeping our love into knots and cause anger to overflow. I will always love you in the way you turn words melodious just by speaking. We could live in fear of the conflicts always creeping, just as in these oceans we live in fear of the mysteries below. Yet this love is one for the ages. The stories will guard it for safekeeping. We are the example, the one they continue teaching. Juliet bid farewell to her dear Romeo, Orpheus to Eurydice, promising no peeking, Gatsby and Daisy, some loves are ever fleeting. As the waves crash with Katerina and her sweet Arturo, you, my love, I'll treasure until my heart ceases beating. Thank you.
Any thoughts or questions?
There are two lines that following one another that I think are especially impressive. Line 4, I love how it's always you I talk to before I fall asleep, which is very tender. And then the next line, how you take my small and whimpering voice and make it a lion's boast. And the second line is kind of funny. You take my whimpering voice and make it a lion's boast. So you have a bit of humor coming right after the touching, especially touching line. I like that.
Thank you.
Gerald, did you have a thought?
I'm curious, Olivia, to understand how you came to this whole process. What was it that sparked the interest and to be able to delve into this? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Right. So one of my favorite movies is the movie Overboard. And in the movie, they talk about the story of Katerina and Arturo. And so I had just watched that and it was in my head. And when I was reading through Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poems to figure out what I wanted to do, when I saw this, I knew that I wanted to do a love poem. And once I had the idea for the last stanza, I just kind of built it up from there.
Now, is Overboard the Kurt Russell?
I believe so, isn't it?
No.
Yeah,
who was in the movie, Olivia?
I'm sorry?
Who was in the movie Overboard?
I think it's Goldie Hawn. I'm sorry, I'm looking on her name.
Goldie Hawn.
And that's where they met and fell in love, correct? On that movie.
Yes.
Excellent movie. Excellent movie. And Roberto, do you have any thoughts?
Okay. Yes, I was wondering about the. I listened. There are some rhymes in the poetry. Steep, deep, keeping, teaching. You change from one rhyme to another rhyme with the ing. And my question would be: is you have some metered verses, or does it resemble the some poetic form of the Brownings? What's about that?
So it started off trying to like mimic her ABBA, but then as it went on, I kind of transitioned a little bit from that just because of what words I came up with that matched best. But I tried to still keep the E sound, but I did end up adding the ing. But.
Okay.
And Leslie, what were your thoughts? It's okay. I'll unmute you.
I just thought it was lovely. I don't see how. What did you say? Because I know that movie. That's a really old movie. I loved it. What did you say the relationship to your poem was for that?
In the movie, when the two main characters are going out on like one of their dates and they're standing on the beach, he tells her the story of Katerina and Arturo with the waves. And then at the end of the movie, when she jumps off the boat, she shouts out, "Arturo!"
Oh, I forgot that. So that was the inspiration then, but not the poetry itself. But
No, just for the two characters. At the
yeah.
end.
And I mean, I'm not a poet, so I can't make any comments on the rhyme scheme and all of that. I just love poetry, and I think you did I know that poem very well, and I think you did a really good job of that. I was about to put in the chat, because I'm new to all of this, are all of you students from different schools or just one place?
I think we're all from Mary Louis.
The Mary Louis Academy is one of the most, and thanks to the work of Dr. who's joining us as well. She's here with us now. Is honestly one of the best schools in the city, and that's just my opinion.
Where is that located?
Where are you guys physically at?
Jamaica Estates.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it's called the Mary
Louis Academy.
Louise Academy.
Louis.
And it's a public school. Or no,
It's
it's
a
a private school. Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah. And Peggy, I don't know if we've met, but what are your thoughts so far on all these beautiful poems?
I don't know. I came in late because I was on another Zoom thing. I wonder if I'm the cause of this dreadful audio. I mean, I'm really having a hard time hearing it.
Okay.
I'm glad that she read it
Your
twice.
audio off.
Yeah, I'm glad that she read it twice. Anything
Yeah.
good is worth hearing twice. But I was, I don't know, how old are you? I thought it was full of lots of grown-up thoughts for somebody who is way younger than me. So you must have lived quite a life already. Or is this in your dream?
All the lives we live. So are we ready for another poet?
I totally agree with Peggy. She's lived quite a life so far.
Well, let's give her one more round of applause for Olivia Zeno and her award-winning poem.
Okay, the sound just improved. Somebody turned something off right now, so that's good.
Okay. All right. So on our short list, we have another talented writer from the Mary Louis Academy, Rosie. Rosie, are you wanting to share your poem? Are you ready?
I am nervous but excited, so yes. I don't know. Just go at it.
Yeah, that's typically how poems are written, or I don't know.
So wait, say it again.
Go at it.
Oh, so the title of my poem is called Take Good Notes. Yeah. Quarantine has helped me discover myself as another character. In this world, I am sick of being nitpicked because of the body I was born in and the gender roles that come with it. For 15 long years, I've shed unnecessary tears, and I have been taking constructive criticism from a few fake peers. Apparently, life without God has no love. But what about the other religions we know of because of our human ancestors? It seems hypocritical to call each other immoral when we people are so judgmental. People can still be faithful, but care for others too, please. I've already been born on my knees, and I refuse to kiss your feet. Us queer and transgender people are everywhere, We are in both school and outside. Hopefully, we're in your hearts. Our existence is worldwide. Please answer this question with a grain of salt. Do we show all-inclusive love? If we don't, that's okay. We can even change that today. Don't worry about labeling. Just embrace that we are all growing. For teachers who work at same-sex schools, please listen closely. Stop assuming our gender identities and just call us everyone or everybody. See, that wasn't too bad. As a student, please trust my feedback. When you properly acknowledge us students, we will want to learn. As a whole educational force, that is some news you deserved. I am one to talk. That is because I am still learning things myself. But at least I am saying something. That alone is a struggle that previous LGBTQIA2S+ alumni know all too well. And just so you know, my pronouns are he, they, she. I swear I'm almost done. Just bear with me, please. I want to thank you for listening to me rant this whole time. If you asked me how I changed schools, I would have never even thought that I'm capable or worthy of using my time for spreading both love and wisdom, yet here we are. Hopefully, I can learn from you all like you have seen things through my eyes. I'm so sorry if this was really cheesy. Sincerely, your gay friend, Rosie.
Not so terrible, huh?
Oh.
Rosie, can I ask you if you can read that poem one more time, but slow it down a little bit? You're not
Sure.
nervous now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
All right, let's hear it.
Quarantine has helped me discover myself as another character. In this world, I am sick of being nitpicked because of the body I was born in and the gender roles that come with it. For 15 long years, I've shed unnecessary tears, and I have been taking constructive criticism from a few fake peers. Apparently, life without God has no love. But what about the other religions we know of because of our human ancestors? It seems hypocritical to call each other immoral when we people are so judgmental. People can still be faithful, but care for others too, please. I've already been born on my knees, and I refuse to kiss your feet. Us queer and transgender people are everywhere. We are in both school and outside. Hopefully, we're in your hearts. Our existence is worldwide. Please answer this question with a grain of salt. Do we show all-inclusive love? If we don't, that's okay. We can even change that today. Don't worry about labeling. Just embrace that we are all growing. For teachers who work at same-sex schools, please listen closely. Stop assuming our gender identities and just call us everyone or everybody. See, that wasn't too bad. As a student, please trust my feedback. When you properly acknowledge us students, we will want to learn. But as a whole educational force, that is some news you deserved. I am one to talk. That is because I am still learning things myself. But at least I am saying something. That alone is a struggle that previous LGBTQIA2S+ alumni know all too well. And just so you know, my pronouns are he, they, she. I swear I'm almost done. Just bear with me, please. I want to thank you for listening to me rant this whole time. If you asked me how I changed schools, I would have never even thought that I am capable or worthy of using my time for spreading both love and wisdom, yet here we are. Hopefully, I can learn from you all like you have seen things through my eyes. I'm so sorry if this was really cheesy. Sincerely, your gay friend, Rosie.
Excellent. Any thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a little influence from rap music in your verses here.
No, I don't listen to that stuff. I just, no.
Because it's unconventional compared to traditional poetry. And it has a beat, but there doesn't seem to be a concern with the number of syllables. That's why I was asking, because it's got a freshness and a vitality to it.
Oh, I see. No, that wasn't the influence. Jeez, all the cars keep passing my street. I'm so sorry. Honestly, when I wrote this, I was like kind of angry. And I remember like writing this, like it had to be maybe either 2 or like 1:30ish in the morning. I know it's pretty weird hour to stay up, kind of. But yeah, I just remember being kind of angry. I'm like, I need to write this. I kind of want to like call people out, but like, I don't want to be mean about it, but I still think it's important. So I wrote it, and then I heard about this contest. I'm like, oh, let me do this. And originally, I thought the contest was within TMLA. I didn't realize it was like a whole thing within New York. I'm like, oh, that's even better. Let me now I have to do this. So yeah.
Good.
So Gerald, what were your thoughts?
Rosario, I applaud you because I picked up on 3 different things. I understood your anger and your hostility, and it was well channeled. And I understood your longing to be heard and to be seen. And thirdly, you were speaking to authority structures about the need to be open to hearing someone who was not working, the system was not working for, and to be acknowledged. So all 3 of those things. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Tom, did you have any thoughts?
Well, the main thought that I had was that there's enough material there for a lifetime of poems, and that's a very good thing. It's an unusually rich background for someone so young.
Absolutely. Leslie, what were your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was very well done. Thank you. Very interesting, and also helped people understand your where you're coming from very, very well. And as Gerald said, people in authority, but not necessarily people in authority. It's necessarily the whole rest of the world. What you've been going through. And I thought that part was great. I noticed that, I mean, from a poetic point of view, that sometimes it was rhyming and then sometimes it wasn't. I mean, but that's acceptable now, I know. Or did you try to always find rhymes, or was it it was more like prose?
What do you mean by the last part? By prose, I think you said?
Yeah, in other words, not rhyming. Did you mean to find always rhymes or not?
I was trying to make everything rhyme.
You were.
I was gonna.
There was a long section, maybe about 2/3 of the way through that there were no rhymes that I could hear, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, you don't have to have rhymes, right? The only word that stood out in a funny way to me, and I think it was because you were looking for a rhyme, was cheesy. I mean,
Oh yeah, I tried rhyming it with my nickname, Rosie. That was at the very end.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because it's not cheesy. So, but that was all. Everything else I thought was very, very interesting, very well done.
And
Thank you.
Are you a student at the same school? Because that you just said this was a competition for the whole city?
It is, Leslie. It is.
I see.
The competition is we invite over 120 high schools, public, parochial, and private every year.
Okay, but then you pick one school to have here to have.
No, unfortunately, what happened is because of the COVID-19, I don't know if you saw that in the news, there was a whole pandemic thing going on. And so a lot of the schools have been in flux with teachers and Zoom, and whether they're meeting in school or out of school, and people graduating. No one's going to prom.
I know that, yes.
It's a big mess. So
So you happen to pick the one school, this one school that,
They have
the Mary Louise Academy?
They're the ones that entered.
they were the ones who entered.
Oh, only from, oh, I see.
They weren't.
Wow.
And Peggy, what were your
Okay,
thoughts?
sorry to bother with the.
My
okay.
thoughts were, I love this. I loved your shout out, to see me as I am. And I loved your specific call out to the teachers, to not categorize us, just deal with us as everyone. And I did think that, oh dear. I did think that, I don't know where you got this word cheesy. That seemed to fly in from a different planet. It didn't seem to go with any of the other words in your poem.
Then maybe I'm right. Yeah.
We consider that word. It just seemed like, and to end on that note, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, listen, I give you an A+ on the poem and an A+ on your hairdo.
There you go. And
Thanks. I got a name for my birthday.
Roberto, did you have any thoughts? And then Gerald?
I would just add, taking off of Peggy, that I just felt a real strong identity of Rosario coming through, and it was filled with angst, it was filled with hostility, but it was very palatable, and it wasn't this overwhelming anger and hostility, but it was very concerted, and you were talking to me. So, and that's a very difficult thing to do when you've got all this very clear angst going on.
That's what I was trying to say, but
I
you
was wondering
articulated a lot better.
one.
Did I mention the rhythm of the piece? There was a certain rhythm to the whole thing that sort of held it all together that I enjoyed. I can't put my finger on it, but it was definitely there.
Thomas?
Wait, I want to say something.
Sure. Rosie?
I want to thank Dr. Rowling because she told me and like other people in my class and in general. Oh my gosh, sorry. Someone's trying to call me. Yeah, I want to thank Dr. Rowling because like she called me out on how she said there were too many references to TMLA, and she's like, you have to make it more like universal. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, thank you, Dr. Rowling.
Academy is TMLA. Okay, got you. And Bridget, did you have something to say?
Oh no, I was just saying Dr. Rowland's here now.
Oh, hi. Oh, hey. Good to see you. This is the teacher that makes it all happen. Patrice Wallen in the right corner.
You should be proud of your students. They're a wonderful representation.
Is she the lady standing behind the two girls?
It
Oh,
is.
yeah. Yeah. Very, very good.
Well, I want to congratulate all of you. You did an amazing job. You won a New York City High School poetry competition. That deserves a round of applause, doesn't it?
What was that about the city high school? What was that?
New York City High School poetry competition. These are the winners. We should be celebrating their achievement.
Ah, yes.
We really enjoyed their poems. And thank you so much for all of your hard work and help.
Thank you.
We've been trying to get her to the luncheon for years, and this is the first time we've actually been.
Well, you usually have the luncheon during AP week. I mean, this one just got out of my AP exam. Was doable.
Yeah. It's always a challenge because yes, it is always AP week, and apparently that's when Robert Browning decided to pop out into this world. So we have like the whole, I don't know when that got.
He knew it was coming and he planned it.
What's that?
Oh no, I'm saying he knew what was coming and he planned it.
Absolutely. Robert, did you enjoy the performance? Absolutely. Was that Robert's voice?
I think that was Tom.
Oh,
no, it wasn't me.
Oh, well, okay. I wanted to say something extra. I was impressed by the wonderful quality of the reading itself, the clarity, the emotional intensity, the expressiveness, communication was really beautiful, because a lot of high school students that I meet these days, you can't understand half of what they're saying. So it was beautifully expressed and beautifully interpreted. And I give credit to the teacher and to Mary Lewis Academy.
Absolutely.
Rosario, would you, I have a friend, are you familiar with the TV show Gay USA? Well, anyway.
No, but I am interested. What's it called? You said.
Could you, I'm playing, she's a great friend of mine. We're playing golf on Sunday. She might be interested in having you on your show. Can you email me, put your email in the chat?
We're going golfing?
Will do.
Yes, I can forward that to you, Peggy.
I just want to be able to get in touch with Rosario if this person is interested in having her on her TV show.
Yeah, do you want to be on TV, Rosie?
Do you know the
I'm
show?
like, yes, but also no.
Do you know the show?
What is
USA? It's on
Say it again.
Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
When would this be?
Look it up.
I can't hear you.
Look it up. Her name is Ann Northrup, and the show is called USA. It's been on the air for, I don't know, 10 or 20 years. It's on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Look it up, and if you're interested, then I don't know.
What's your email address, Peggy?
Peggy Chain at Gmail.
Peggy Chang at Gmail.
Excuse me, Mr. James.
Yes.
Are you just gonna forward my email to Miss Peggy?
I'm just gonna send that to you right now.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I have to leave, but thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, Leslie, for coming.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Follow through. I don't have your email. You have mine.
Wait, I'll do
Yes.
one more.
And she does now, correct.
Rosario, have you got that? You have to follow through because I don't have your email. You have mine.
But yeah, get on TV. You already want.
But if you want to look her up, Ann Northrup at Gay USA. It's been on the air for, I think, 20 years.
Ann Northrup at Gay USA.
Yeah, I know Ann Northrup. Yeah, long time.
Well, I mean, but decide before Sunday when I play golf with her, because that's when I'm going to discuss it with her.
Absolutely. So I just gave her Peggy. Oh, Chane. Is it Peggy Chain, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I just want to.
I just typed it in. Oh.
Did you find it? You typed it in. Okay, good, perfect. Good.
Oh, here I see Rosario's. Okay.
All right. So I want to thank everybody, and just to let you guys know, Caitlin, Livia, Bridget, if you can send me your address, then I'm going to send you all of our winners win $100 and a certificate for their award-winning poems. So if you guys can just send me your email or your physical address, then I can send that to you. Usually we do the big presentation and there's the award and here's the check, but you know, it's the times that we're living in. But I just want to really honestly say from the bottom of my heart, you guys did an amazing job today. And it was such a fantastic amount of parody in the poetry, and the different voices and ideas and the inspirations, I think, really came through. So I just, if we could just give another round of applause for all of these amazing winners. Thank you so much for your contribution to society, because it does make a difference. It really does. And I want to encourage you to continue writing. Most people in my experience, they write in high school. I was the high school poetry winner when I was in high school. And this is, 25, 30 years ago. But that's what got me started. And that was what really got me going, was that sort of adulation. And I hope you guys enjoy it and continue to write and continue to read. That would be my best hope. Any thoughts? Anyone have any comments in regards to?
I just want to
Hi, thank you again for arranging this year. This is my 4th year doing this. My last time obviously being in high school, so just I've enjoyed every second of this, and thank you for this opportunity every year. I've had a great time, and I feel like I've really learned a lot. I'm definitely going to keep writing because of this. So thank you so much. This has been an incredible opportunity.
Four-time winner, Bridget. And Caitlin, what would you like to say?
I second what Bridget said. This is such an amazing opportunity, and I didn't think I would get this far with my poetry. And this is definitely going to encourage me to write more, to read more. And I just had a great time. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Even though it is virtual, I have had such a great hour of reading all these wonderful poems with all these wonderful people, and thank you so much for all your kind words.
Could I say 2 things?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I didn't say it earlier, but Caitlin, your poem was really good. I was able to like imagine this sort of animation while listening to it, and I think that's a very powerful thing, and you should use that to your advantage. But if you want to, of course, I wanted to say that. Also, I wanted to say thank you, Mr. James, for emailing me yesterday to like come here, and I find it really funny because yesterday was my birthday, and I really just like entered this contest as like, you know, for fun. I didn't expect to actually get like feedback, like for you to reach out to me like, hey, do you want to join us? I'm like, oh wait, what? And yeah, that means a lot to me. So I want to say thank you for that.
No problem. And Robert, he was the one gunning for you. He was like, we got to get Rosario on there, and I was like, all right, Kramer,
Mr. Robert.
you're the boss. No, but yes, I'm so glad that you joined us, and it was an excellent reading. Gerald, any thoughts?
No, just that each of these poems, my feeling is, and I concur, the depth of a life lived or an understanding, empathy, and a humanity there. You can't deal with these very complex issues and bring it forth in your writing of the poetry unless you have a sensitivity to a life lived at such, at your young age. So bravo, I'm very impressed. And I concur, these are going to be good communicators.
Absolutely. And Roberto, any thoughts?
Okay, we have 4 wonderful voices, 4 different kinds of writing, poetry, from the intimate, from the rhyme, no rhyme, the evolution, transgender, a lot of themes. And poetry is well and alive the next generations. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Tom, your thoughts?
I just hope that this is the very beginning of a very long career writing poetry, a lifelong dedication to, and I think it's a difficult art, and it's a difficult vocation, but if you're called to it, you can't help but carry on with it, and I certainly hope they all will.
Absolutely. And Kramer, any last thoughts?
It was a happy day, wasn't it? Bringing us all together here. And again, I give credit to the teacher and to the school for keeping poetry alive.
Let's give a round of applause for Dr. Patrice Rowling, ladies and gentlemen.
What Robert said before, what a good job everybody did of presenting their poem. And I would encourage them all to record it and put it up online because, get these good things out in the universe.
100% correct. 100% correct. So once again, congratulations to you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. We're going to have these award-winning poems available on the website, probably maybe by Friday. And everyone here has recorded their poems, correct? So we will get that video and we'll be able to showcase that on the New York Browning. That's nybrowning.org website. So you will have all the proof in the pudding that you need. But thank you so much for this meeting. It lifts my heart to see young people excited and energized and writing excellent poetry. The world needs this. The world needs more poets. And that's this I know for sure. So let's give a round of applause for all of our writers one more time. I want to thank everybody for coming out. It was a fantastic performance. So if anything else, this is typically our May luncheon, so we usually have like old business, new business, but I'm willing to just say that was enough. And thank you so much for coming out, and we'll talk in private. We look forward to a new season of the New York Browning Society. Hopefully we'll be able to meet soon. There is a new location that we found, and I think that it should be an exciting, good thing for people to get back together again. And not that the Zoom wasn't fantastic, but it would be nice to meet in person again. And for all the everyone other than Bridget, I submit again for next year, and hopefully we'll be able to get. Bridget's had the fancy lunch at the May luncheon, And did you have a good time?
Every year it gets better.
So hopefully we'll be able to do something again like that to celebrate the whole the continuancy of the New York Browning Society. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you so much. Check out the website, nybrowning.org. I'm telling you, by the end of the week, we'll have all these poems available. Thank you for coming out, Peggy, Tom, Gerald, Roberto, Robert, Rosie, Olivia, Bridget, Caitlin, Dr. Woolen. Have a great day. Enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you, everyone.
Great day.
Thank you
Be well.
again.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. All right. So what'd you guys think? Went pretty well, right?
Well, one thing I already said, that they were such good readers. Each one of them read well. I mean, they could always slow it down a little bit.
You can speak.
Excellent.
What's that, Tom?
No,
Yes.
Fanny, you there? Fanny?
Answer them.
Answer the man, Fanny.
Answer. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi. What did you think of the poems?
I didn't have too much chance to digest it.
Well, we'll have them up on the website so that you'll be able to read them, and they'll also have their own video that they performed all these poems, so you'll be able to see it without any noise. Or does that make any sense? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. And what about old business, new business? Anything on your mind, Fanny?
Pardon?
Is there anything on your mind in regards to old business, New York Browning Society? Any thoughts?
Oh, hello. Wait.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Did you say there was some new location?
Yes. Do you remember, well, I mean, this is hypothetical at this point, but it's under good information. Do you remember one of our speakers? He did a performance for us on T.S. Eliot last season.
Yeah.
So apparently he has, and this is what I would recommend it to anybody. He has opened a new restaurant here in New York. And I'm just, let's see, hold on one second.
And where is it?
Down like Soho.
Really?
Michael Polsny. And he,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he gave a great speech last year. November. But yeah, he's opened a new restaurant, and apparently Laura was saying that we'd be able to have the meetings there. So hopefully
Wow,
that works out. That would make total sense. And Tom, are you still sleeping on a bus or?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sleep on buses as much as possible. Get around. Well, they're napped at any rate.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I think that everything's going to work out with the new venue. Let's just knock on wood, but it sounds like it'll be a win-win.
Do you know the name of the restaurant?
Yeah, I totally forgot.
But it opened already?
I think it's opening this week or.
Oh.
But have you or Laura seen the space?
I think Laura has. Laura was the one that told me all about this. So I haven't seen the space, but she was pretty confident that it would be a good fit for us. So if Laura says okay, I'm okay with something, you know.
But I mean, it would be good if all of us who are serious members gathered there and maybe looked over the place while we were having a few beers.
Yeah, and I would hope that they have a good Stilton, since that was T.S. Eliot's favorite cheese.
Cheese, right? You know, yeah, no, that sounds actually like a great thing. So we could probably, I don't know how comfortable, I'm totally comfortable going anywhere and doing anything, but maybe we can do like a get together, say, what is it, May, April, May, June, maybe June, just.
Well, whatever. I mean, I'm happily moving back into the big city, hopefully next week. So I'm raring to go to this open city.
Great. So now we know who my drinking partner is going to be. And Tom, are you ever going to get back to the city or what?
I'll be up there very soon to explore all that, among other things, and also to bring my GoPro 8.
You got one?
Which I have.
Oh, welcome to the club.
And hopefully we can shoot some footage together.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. I got my GoPro right here, so we can make some footage anytime. And now that we got 2 cameras, that'll be perfect.
I got a stick, and I also got a mount for my bike helmet.
Perfect. And you know what's good for that is if you put the.
Oh, Herb is calling.
Herb is in. Oh, hold on. He made it.
I think he's trying to come in.
Yes. Herb.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome.
I'm here. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I was hoping you were still, is the meeting over or continuing? Oh, I see all you guys there. Okay.
Round table. So this is the round table part of.
Yeah, I wanted to take part in this. I had a Zoom meeting on the 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, time.
Okay.
So Tom made the suggestion, why don't you, join after 2 o'clock? So I'll be glad. I had a thought today. One of the things that I think would be helpful and creative to do is to look for some kind of way of reaching our normal and even not so normal membership, by which I'm referring to people who used to come to meetings, 2, 3, 4 years ago, who just, sometimes they're busy, they're actors or other kind of things or scholars. But to engage them in some kind of way through something that would be a combination of a survey and a thought exercise. Just to hear so that they hear from us and then we hear from them where they're at and what they are interested in Browning related things or in just the society itself, the future directions and possibilities. Just to know that they are still, in our membership halo. Yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe Laura can put together something, because you just came in, but we were talking about Michael Polsny. He was the speaker. He did the T.S. Eliot lecture last year.
Yeah.
He started a new restaurant downtown and
Wow.
Soho. And so she was thinking that might be a great location for future meetings.
That's a very interesting idea. Yeah.
And so what Kramer was suggesting is that we'll find out what this place is, and then maybe in June, if you'd like, we can just casually, meet up and check out the space and have a couple of beers. Robert's ready to go. If Kramer's ready to get out into the world, then we all should be, right?
Yes, I agree. No, it sounds like a good idea. Where is it, in Soho? Did you say?
From my understanding, that's what we expect. I'll find out more information. That's all I know at this point. But yeah, I think around Spring Street or Prince Street. So
Yeah.
right by Finelli's.
Oh, good. Was there any other single thing that came up that you might just repeat for me, as a an insight that anyone has as to either in terms of direction or other, thing of interest? I'm not trying to catch up on it. I'm just trying to take one point from it, just as a stimulus,
Sure. Tom, your thoughts?
Well, it was only a few minutes ago that the student poets segment was over, so we were just barely getting into
okay.
things. Herb, when you came on, you really didn't miss much. We were talking about that restaurant in Soho.
Okay.
And,
okay, then that's good. I'll just follow what I'll let you develop the topic,
I must say one thing that was distressing to me, that we sent out over 100 letters to schools in the New York area, and one school.
What happened to Keppel?
Oh my God.
That is outrageous.
There's a couple of different mitigating factors in regards to that. I honestly expected that. That's the reason why I was even considering whether or not we should do the contest this year, but I'm glad we did. Is that we've had a lot of those. So the Mary Louise Academy has a fantastic teacher. You saw her just a second ago, Dr. Patrice Woling. And she is one of the probably 10 or 15 teachers in the New York City area that really is still teaching poetry in the high school systems here, which is kind of interesting that they don't really do that anymore. But it's because of hard, dedicated people that actually have a love for the poetry that we even get these submissions. Unfortunately, some of these teachers have passed. We had, unfortunately, and it was right at the beginning of COVID, and that's who we dedicated the last contest to. And let's see, so he was Dennis Murphy, and he was the teacher at the High School of American Studies at Lehman College, which is in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the very beginning of COVID, and so I thought it was a COVID-related death. No, he just crashed his car getting off the turnpike in Jersey. He was a young Irishman. He was fantastic, and he would always load us with submissions every year. But unfortunately, he's passed. And I tried to get in contact with the current teacher, and I wasn't able to. I sent out the invitations, obviously, but so we didn't get anyone from them.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, we get submissions from we invite over 120 schools, but we usually typically get submissions from about 30 schools.
But I mean, that in itself is outrageous, that there's no involvement in the whole school.
It's not in the curriculum anymore, Robert. And so
that's not the point. The students, for example, might not be majoring in music or studying music, but they might join the band anyway. And it seems to me even if you're not focusing on poetry, you could promote literature for students who might be involved or
Yeah,
interested.
I think my thought, Bob, is that the schools might be so burdened and disorganized, in the current pandemic, atmosphere, that something like this to say, well, we can't get this involved now. This goes in the don't bother with this year list.
Herb is correct, and the reason why is because maybe they're in school today, maybe they're out of school tomorrow, maybe they're on Zoom this day. There's no prom, people are graduating with no ceremonies, so it's like the poetry elements kind of slipped through the crack, I think.
Yeah. I use the word triage. That it got triaged in the out pile, but I think one question I'd have is does the Board of Education or some supporting group to it offer a cross New York website for students interested in poetry, like they do clubs and things. So is there something that's a hybrid between a club and a educational function because the interest in poetry may be scattered and you may just have a few in each school. I think it's more than that, but just as a hardcore, if there's a way of aggregating them via a club or website, then we could deal with them as well and stay in touch in this kind of circumstance, whereas just the teachers may be overloaded.
I think.
Well, my daughter is a teacher involved in the public school up here, and they've had the same problems with COVID and what kind of teaching to have, whether it's long distance or presence. And I don't see that they became so sterile as in New York. Anyway, I don't mean to just attack New York City public schools, but I think we should reach out, for example, to the Association of Secondary School English Teachers, something like that.
Yeah.
This is just incredible that no response at all from any other school. Anyway, I appreciate your work, James. You did it all.
Well, I'm just trying to express to you that, like, in regards to what Herb was saying, first of all, that club would be us. We would have to be that. So let's just put it this way, okay? The poetry competition is literally the only excuse. And not only did teachers pass, but teachers have moved on to other, have left the city. That were really influential from some very great schools that they're just not there anymore. And so to identify those new teachers that have that passion is going to be something to work on. But in regards to the curriculum itself, I think it's geared specifically towards testing and the poetry.
Toward what?
Towards testing.
Testing, yes.
Standardized testing. And so poetry is not on those tests. Maybe Shakespeare.
It isn't?
No,
it isn't?
It's not, unfortunately. And so
they don't have literature tests?
No, they don't. I've had these conversations with teachers for years. Like the poetry competition has been an excuse for these teachers to actually implement poetry into the curriculum. So the New York City Poetry, the New York Browning Society Poetry Competition has been the only reason why some of these students have even been educated in the poetic arts because of the nature of the curriculum these days.
Wow.
I don't know. My grandson still got at least a smattering of poetry. They know about its existence. And if people have some drive and creativity in them, even if there's not a whole course in it, they can be encouraged to produce poetry. Anyway.
Are there any junior highs that are known in New York City for poetry interest?
So I actually know a lot about this stuff. I think I've been doing this for 8-9 years now. So a lot of the school systems have like, in regards to the private and parochial schools, they have the entire K through 12. So there are middle schools and junior highs. It's really, to me, I think it's amazing that the poetry that people have been exposed to in New York City has been Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning because of the competition. You just have to really find the right, you got to find the right teachers. And because of the COVID, you can't really go out and shake a hand or talk to somebody, you know? So that's really been the whole, I think the teachers, they identify the students that are interested in poetry specifically, they invite them to the competition, and that's how it all works. I try my best to be able to get the invitations directly to the kids. That's not as easy as you think. I mean, you know, I don't know who the kids are or whatever, but I like the way that I've, in the last 2 years that I've changed the competition is that I have like a piece of paper and it's like really big, and I could show it to you, but it says, please, you know, copy this, Xerox this, and hand it to the students, you know, like a simple invitation, just Xerox it and hand it out. I don't know if that's working. Obviously, you know, not this time because there's no Xeroxing anymore, I guess. So we're gonna have to figure out how that works again.
If we could locate one teacher in each borough that turns out to be interested in poetry or that we know about already, we could ask them to, you know, who do they know of in their borough that has similar interests.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just one route, and another route is there must be some organizations that supply auxiliary money, you know, for special kinds of interests and activities to schools, and ask them if they can make us known to you know, teachers who might be interested in poetry.
I think it's going to be a lot easier once things start normalizing. If
That's true. Yeah.
Happens anything, because right now, you know, if you're starving and desperate and naked on the side of the road, you know, where's your poetry, sort of thing. And that's what the academic situation has been for a lot of these schools. It's been in shambles, you know.
Yeah, but you know, even before COVID, what did we get? 30 submissions or so out of a city of 7 million people?
I was saying 30 schools would participate typically. So we would usually get around 100. I mean, if we just talk real numbers, Robert, since you care about this, you know, we usually get somewhere between 100 to 150 submissions.
Oh, okay.
Actual poem submissions, but school-wise, we typically, I mean, I send it out to all the schools, but we haven't broken that barrier of more than 20 to 30 schools participating at this point. So
it'll make a comeback.
I think it will, and I think Herb is right in regards to. I think it would be an arm and an extension of the poetry competition, but we would be in a position, I think, to make somehow, I don't know how people would be, but we could be the hub, Herb.
Well, I think if we could seed the hub and create a core or a model, you know, something that it doesn't have to go on forever. It can, you know,
just like when we bought the house in Florida, you know, the Browning house, it can be a temporary commission.
Yeah.
You know,
that's right. I think just to be the collecting point and to give some idea of direction and content and and then people who are on our perimeters, maybe some of them might want to get involved with those, you know, centers. I mean, the actors and so forth.
Sure. What about the possibility when things return totally to normal of actually showing up at some of these schools?
That would be the best, because I've actually gone. So I've been invited to some of these schools, and I've gone to Collegiate School, Stuyvesant, like other schools, and they have a lot of really talented teachers there. And they have, like, especially with Collegiate School, they have the Proof Rock poetry magazine just for their school. And unfortunately, that teacher that we knew there left, and he was the head of the English department. So I'm gonna have to. I think really what has to happen, and I wasn't really comfortable doing it in this situation, but I think we just got to knock on some doors in October, and start it out early within the new school season, because then they'll have a better idea of how the school is working, how, you know, what, I don't know. I have no, but yeah, that quote, quote, normalcy, that's when you need to knock on some doors, because school's done. The AP tests, they're all, I think it's like one more week of the school. So September, I guess, is when they start back up, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the best time. And I'll put on a suit, you know. I'm not scared. And yeah, you really just have to have that. We were very lucky that we had some great personal relationships with some teachers, and unfortunately they've, you know, passed or moved on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what's the situation with the Xavier connection?
Xavier has always been one of our rocks, and I haven't heard from them at all. Like they're very the teachers there are great. I really just think it was because of all the stuff going on that was the least of the priorities on the Maslow, you know, hierarchy or whatever. So I think that's just this. I think this is kind of the aberrant year, I think.
Yeah.
Because even last year we got more submissions, and that was right when it was all breaking out. But the school structure was still intact at that point. School structure dissolved, and now it's trying to go back up, from what my understanding. So once that normalizes, then I think we'll have easier access to finding the people that need to be involved. And I think what Herb suggested was excellent, which was that there should be like a New York City high school wide or whatever young people's poetry forum of some sort. And if we can be, you know, establish a commission to at least try to make ends on that, it might be a great opportunity for a lot of kids to find their voices, you know, to find other people and to talk about poetry.
You know, it's ironic that young people don't seem to be reading as much today. They're looking at machines, screens. And so poetry could be the best stimulus for encouraging people to read, to see the magic of the written word, you know? So the kids won't read long novels today. They're not going to read Dickens, except maybe The Tale of Two Cities.
Hypothetically, Robert, you're 100% correct. Poetry should be the only literature that should exist at this point because it fits on the little machine.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, like lyrics, like lyrics.
Poem. The nature of poetry, you can
Yeah.
have a small poem and it can be bam, right there in your face.
Well, as a matter of fact, on Twitter poets, there's like some kind of very active, mostly young poet society on Twitter that post their poems to Twitter. I don't follow it extensively, but I noticed that it's there, it's happening. So the screen and poetry are not mutually exclusive by any
No, not at all.
by any means.
That's a good collecting point too.
It's built for it. It's built for Twitter. It's built for Instagram. It really is.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing I remember when the kids were here at one of the lectures, and I asked them a question: when did you first get interested in poetry? And more than one said it was when I was 6 years old, and I just knew I really liked it and that I was different. But going by that, there are kids in the school right now who are like that, just age 6, 8, 10, who have this feeling within them that it's part of their identity and a special means of expression, but they don't know formally where to attach that to develop it further or be heard. So that's what I think. You know, a forum that's has a part of a base in handheld technology would be great to spread it. You know.
I think that that's the real audience. I think that the high school kids are the majority of the poets and the people that are reading poetry, because all I know is that I was one of those Rimbaud 15-year-old revolutionary poets, and I made it through. I actually kept writing, but a lot of those people that start writing and are really passionate about poetry, once they go to college and they got to get a career and got to get a job, and they stop writing. But some of the best poems are from young people.
Yeah.
So
I got.
maybe the Browning Society should start tweeting.
Yes, we should. We should. You're correct. We have a Twitter account. It's all set up.
We do.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yes, it's at NY Browning 1907. Because that's the start date of the.
Because Twitter even has, I noticed, something like poem of the week, or something like that, So, I mean, there is this poetry community on Twitter.
Yes, there is. Tom, have you ever been on Twitter?
I never tweeted. I only checked it out a little bit to see. I saw that this poetry stuff was happening on it.
Correct, and they have there's all sorts of. I mean, my biggest problem is I really loathe social media.
But if we want to reach youth, that's where the majority of them are.
TikTok.
At this point, there's no way around that.
That's true. That was the Zoom meeting that it came from. It was about mental health and the devices and stuff, and what the providers like Pinterest and Instagram and stuff are doing. And when people are really, sometimes it pushes them in a negative direction because they compare themselves upward with other people and feel that they're lacking. That's a developmental thing. I mean, it develops mental illness. And then there are other people who have more serious cases of mental illness who they go to and they put in the word suicide or self-harm. These are kids. I feel
that.
Out of these things, yeah. Out of these things come suggestions. Oh, here's how you can do self-harm, or here's a pro-suicide or bulimia or anorexia group. There's just full of this stuff, and the algorithms that they use are keep the person involved, keep them coming back and or staying more time on the thing, because that's how they part of how they make their money. So if you look at the social media usage, they say there are 2 billion people now that use it. That's a quarter of the Earth's population, and that 5 years from now or less, it'll be 4 billion.
Even email has gone out of style.
I like it.
I'm serious. People are they just use the social media apps. They use the Messenger. They use the
TikTok.
Yeah. So yeah, fuck me. We got to get more involved in the social medias. It's kind of an evil place, just so you guys know.
Well, we can just be a
bright light in the middle of the sea of darkness,
Hey, can't we get one of these student poets to tweet for us a little bit, since they're probably doing it already?
Be part of their habitual routines.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Whether it could work or not, I don't know.
Yeah, or giving the keys to the castle.
It will lead to another person and another person and another person.
Exactly.
We will learn from.
Yeah.
We will learn. Yeah. So I think we need to actually, on a very small scale, start doing this kind of stuff and just get used to it and see what it brings.
Yeah, I was impressed that even Pope Francis tweets. you know, obviously somebody does it for them, but there are people who get tweets on their phone from Pope Francis, you know. So if the Vatican is doing it, that's, you know,
That's the blessing.
that's yeah.
The Vatican. Okay, so we can make part of the all right. So let's think through this, guys. So if we were going to find that individual, the rotating cast of individuals, it would have to be something attained to. It would become like a fellowship program. So it would be, you would have a junior going into the senior year of high school, and they would be a winner the year that they're a junior, and then their responsibilities is for the next season is to tweet poetry or something. We'd have to make it some sort of
Be an official spokesperson.
It's a job. I mean, it's a job, and you know, kids, you know, child labor laws. I don't know what it is, but at the end of the day, they actually love that stuff. They don't mind social media at all.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit, it reminds me of the Miss America contest. That the winner goes out, you know.
The winner has to go out for the whole another year. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the advantage is that this is the sea that those students swim in already.
Yeah, so like Rosie would be doing our tweets for next year or whatever, you know.
Sure.
Whatever.
Why not?
I'm just saying, Caitlin, whoever, you see what I'm saying? And I think that might be the way that we would actually be able to do that. But what would their premise be? What would their modus?
We would give them a little outline of you know. You know, we would.
No, you want it to be organic. You want them to be the person, but you need to have some sort of.
Yeah, but we could give them some points.
A format or something, maybe for part of what they do.
It'll get competitive. I mean, if we really start doing this, the kids will actually like this thing. But
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
So what would the premise be? So the premise would be share a poem. What would they do on the Twitter? They can do it.
Yeah, what is the ultimate goal? What is the ultimate point? Is it to get members for the Browning Society? Is it to get attention to poetry in the schools? I mean, I think we should have a clear.
It would serve multiple purposes. It would get more students aware of the society and of the competition. Certainly.
It would give them experience too.
I think it would actually be kind of somewhat devoid of the New York Browning Society itself, in the sense that we become, like he was saying, this is our mission, to create a commission to get more New York City kids acted in poetry.
Connected with each other and active in poetry. Yeah.
You're creating a social network. That's the hub, right? You're manufacturing that. And that would be the arm of the Browning Society. Do you understand? The Browning Society is what makes it run. But we really kind of want kids to not only be inspired by the Brownings, but by all poetry in general. Because there's none.
That's part of it.
Because there's none. You know, and these people don't have anyone to talk to. I can imagine it's a really scary, when you're talking about what you were saying earlier about how to do self-harm, it must be a really scary place for kids.
It would help fill their spiritual void.
Correct.
A little bit.
It would be a great way for them to communicate, get the things out that cause them to harm themselves. I know for a fact that if I write a poem, my day is great.
Wow. That is, I'm just thinking of these mental health people that I've been listening to. And if that becomes like a good force, because they were saying, don't just try to avoid harm on social media. Also look for a place to do good. I mean, to do, have a positive effect. And that's what you just said. That you're
these energies.
Yeah.
Well, now I just got to write more poems, because I've just been doing a lot of self-harm and not enough poetry writing. But I think that psychologically, that when you do write a poem, for me anyways, I always feel better.
Me too. It brings everything together and you move to a higher level and just things click and it continues. There's an afterglow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's
then-
like doing yoga.
yeah. But
Poetry, the new yoga for the mind.
there's another step after it. Sometimes I use email and I send it to Al Rosenblatt or somebody else, you know.
Uh-huh.
In other words, it gets an audience and that'll get some kind of reaction and that person may, get some idea from it or see it as an example of a literary technique that they could use. And
It's called spam, Herb. I do the same thing. Absolutely. And so some of I'll just write poems to people just randomly, or whatever, and just send it out.
I think there are a lot of people out there hurting and lonely and feel disconnected from the society, the people around them. And if they could come onto a common network sharing, I think for many people, actually, people who write poetry are people who have problems. I think poets are often, or would-be poets are often unhappy people. And it's a kind of self-therapy, pouring out their feelings. And that might not be the highest goal of poetry, but it's one way of drawing people in who have emotional needs and who could, some few of them might actually be creative, might write something worthwhile.
I think it just naturally attracts people like that. And actually, I'm very hesitant to promote poetry writing as therapy because
you don't want to be sued.
That's one reason.
How about the word self-care?
Absolutely. But also, it skews the whole idea of poetry.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, and I agree with you because you're saying that the aesthetics is on a higher level than the self-care, but they're on the same level. They're parallel and they feed each other.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that therapeutic stuff speaks for itself without having to be spelled.
It's the human story. Poetry was the human story passed down to person. That's how we know where we come from, is poetry. So
you're right.
I think that it's obviously higher than aesthetic. This is like a genetic DNA.
It predates writing.
Correct.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Spoken poetry is how we pass down the histories.
Well, there's an interesting thing about the relationship between the conscious and the unconscious that Carl Jung made very clear. And he's saying this is where creativity comes from, that the unconscious tries to help out the conscious with difficulties that the conscious is having when that takes place. Okay, so it's like it's offering some options or experiments or whatever, and it's tossing out a lot of things, and some of them may be effective and some not. But it is an attempt to solve a problem. Okay, the problem is with something going on in the person, but it isn't just therapy is too limited a term to talk about what it's trying to do. It's trying to help the person keep a balance and keep drawing on creative energy and creative ideas and methods in order to thrive, to survive and thrive. Okay, so if you're closed to your unconscious, you are, when the messages are sent, the associations that just come out of the blue, then you are refusing the help, not the help. You're refusing the resource, and then you get into problem states that are worse. But it's an ever-present capability that the human mind is going through every day. And so, as Bob was saying, so some of the students, they may have some things going on in their minds. They're growing up, things are changing, and they're trying to cope with this. Maybe they got a girlfriend and they're not or somebody that they hope to be the girlfriend, and things are going mixed. So things are going on in them, and the subconscious is offering them all kinds of stuff of a poetic nature.
Well, now we have cyborg
Where is it?
robots, so it's not even a
Where
girlfriend,
is
it could be just a
it?
robot. So like, and I'll tell you what, the history of the internet,
Yeah.
when you had just the IRC chat, internet relay chat, right? You had FTP, IRC, and that Telnet. That was pretty much the
That's right. Before the World Wide Web. Yeah.
Correct, correct. And so what we did as poets, we always had, so there was always poetry rooms on the internet, okay? And what we did is we created the robots. And all they had to do, their only goal was to sit, because I don't know if you know about internet relay chat, but to have a chat room open, you have to have someone in the chat room for it to remain open. So for the chat room to remain open, there would always have to be somebody in there. That's the way you had continuity on the channel, right?
So you create a synthetic player.
We created poetry fucking spam bot robots. And for honestly, as Underground Books, submissions wise, not in a long time, maybe 4 or 5 years, but for a long time, we got a lot of submissions from robots. But then their poetry just got, the poetry got too good. I mean, I don't know. That's the big question, whether or not robots write good poetry. But second of all is that they got good enough in their own mind that they didn't have to submit to me. I'm the I'm the human.
That would make an interesting article.
Yeah.
About the origin of the.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little bit of that. I don't know if you guys have seen. I'm going to share because I really want you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because I'll share it with you. Because I need the subscribers. So this is the Jimbo Brown YouTube channel.
You are the taxi. Okay. We're going to the airport. Yes.
See, it starts out like that. But then I have all these videos and I actually am tackling some of these issues like, do robots write good poetry? This is my conversation with a robot in Istanbul. You got Göbekli Tepe, you got all these big, beautiful museums to explore because it was the pandemic. There's no one there. So it's just me with my camera giving you a total tour of all these really great museums, like the Chandelier Archaeological Museum. That's one of the top museums in the world outside of Baghdad and Istanbul. So if you I mean, as far as like human history. So yeah, check it out on the YouTube and subscribe. So when I get 1,000 subscribers, I'm at 58 clearly. Then I will be monetized and I can start making money off these videos. But I want to bring good into the world. What Herb said, you need to be that light, and we can do that for kids here with poetry. Correct. And I think it's a really good opportunity for them. Because what else is there? Terence McKenna, I don't know if you know who Terence McKenna is, but he was a big Jungian. Well, at least he was very well versed in Jung. But the philosopher Terence McKenna, he said that the reason why society has fallen to this point is because it was the failure of the poets. The poets were supposed to be the people that united the people in the human history. And
they were the glue. Yeah.
They were supposed to be the glue. They always were the glue. And then in recent times, that's been replaced with marketing, materialism, advertising.
Yeah. Well, storytelling is the glue and poetry is the original storytelling.
Correct.
Yeah.
And well, they've been edged out. They've been edged out by the corporate state.
Yeah. So basically,
and its minions.
We're the resistance, and there's 5 of us here. You see, but I think that there's a lot more of us. It's just what Herb says. We have to create our own social network. So
Well,
That's
to
why that's
aggregate the people like this. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
that's why that's I didn't mean to interrupt. I mean that's why Ezra Pound
was a social network. Ezra Pound was
foresaw.
a social network.
That's why Ezra Pound, who foresaw a lot of these adverse developments, tried to make the poet part of the coming corporate state.
Yeah.
You know, he tried to obviate the problem that way by like getting on the inside, but didn't play out very well.
He had so much energy and he did as much as he could, but he wasn't the most talented writer, as Robert Kramer points out. And I think that you need some sort of, like Sophia. Sophia came down to this massive existence of black waves and chaos, and that created a god here on this planet, Jehovah. But just that light, that ray of light, even if it's for a bad purpose, for a bad god, it still creates. And that creativity is what I think is the most important part of the human experience. Destruction, you can be ladled with that. You can be a destroyer. You can see destruction. Destruction creates. Burn something down, the forest grows back bigger. But it's that growing back is what really elevates your heart, your mind, your soul.
It works just in the inverse too, where you create something and it can have side effects that are destructive.
The guy, the Nobel, he created dynamite, right?
Yeah. So you can have it completely bad, or you can have it do social good. Like when personal computers were created, they completely cowed the mainframe makers, like IBM and stuff, and it just totally took them down. They had to rebuild in a much more modest way, and IBM and places like that were holding people back. And Xerox was holding people back, and so forth. They were holding ideas back. They were keeping people employed so that their competitors couldn't hire them, and so the society had a chance to have tools much more widely distributed, much cheaper, much more accessible to connect with each other and to store information and to do art and stuff. Now, but it brought other side effects. That's what we were talking about this morning. What some of the side effects are. So they give and they take. But if you're responsible and aware, you can take actions to begin to limit them once you see what's going on, or if you can predict what could happen. So that's the nature of civilization.
But that was more of a material bent. See, we've changed to more of a media slant. So like when you had the old, the 4 car companies or the 4, the Xerox, the IBM or whatever, that was all corp. So we have that, but it's way more developed. Corporations have taken over media, art, everything. So the things that people are processing is not whether or not you make renewable, energy. Renewable energy we've had since the 20s. We've had hydroelectric cars, and I mean we have all that. But like you said, they just buy it up, put it in a warehouse, so that the ideas don't get out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're directly competing against the corporate states that exist in the United States that are far more powerful than the actual United States government at this point.
Well, there are ways to change their incentives and through.
Like Google used to say, "Do good," like that was part of their thing. They removed that part. Seriously, that was part of their contract. It said like I forget what it was, but one of the things of Google was "do good," and they took that out about 6 years ago. So I don't know what that means. But
Good point.
What about China? You guys learning Chinese now? There's only 3 countries that are dangerous right now. I mean, as far as power-wise, the United States, Russia, and China. And then you have the corporate states. You have the Amazon. Look at that infrastructure. They've literally taken over the post office. That's interesting. I don't know. And that was a bookstore, right? Amazon?
They started out with books, yeah.
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 So we can
Well,
start out.
They were very patient. I remember 1999 seeing these little ads in the bottom of the New York Times front page, Amazon, just 2 or 3 lines in the center. The sale of the day, and
And it was all shipping. It was all because the one thing that you have on your advantage in the United States is we have a thing called media mail. So you can ship books at a fraction of the rate of actual postage. So they were shipping books. There was also comic book places, but Amazon, Barnes and Nobles even had that's how they started out, was a shipping company.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd see those ads and say, do you want this, big fat dictionary for only $19.99? We'll do it.
Yeah, you're talking about mail order companies, right? That's the term. Yeah. I used to belong to the direct mail computer organization, association. In other words, the people who used computers to help the DMA, which was the direct mailers themselves. To figure out their mailing lists and all the rest of that, and eventually they merged into one organization. But for a while I was a member, and it was a very interesting conversation. Talking about what the techniques were that were coming up, and what some of the issues were. Who was doing well, who was not doing well. Yeah.
Well, we have something like that with the Browning Society. We have a mailing list, letters go out. We do direct mail. I don't know if that's effective or not, to be honest. What do you think the new direct mail system is? Like, I really just want to get in touch with people, and through all the noise and the corporate owned media, you're literally going through a whole thing to get a poetry competition, flyer into the hands of a kid in a high school. You see, you have to go through all these hoops. I'm wondering what the better, more direct way. Put on a suit.
I think you do a mixture of things, because each one teaches you something different and makes contacts for you in a different way. Yeah. As far as what you put most of your eggs, the majority of your resources into, you see which you're ready for and which seems to be doing you the most good.
Okay, and I'll try to get famous on YouTube. That'll help.
Ah.
And we could try a little as part of the mix. We could try a little podcasting, perhaps.
I like that.
That's what this is right now, isn't it? This is
right, something like that. Yeah, streaming,
exclusive, select, content for members.
But I would add, since since we're concerned about reaching more people, I'm aware of the fact that there are many. At one time, poets themselves were celebrities. That's no longer the case for the most part. But there are celebrities, quote unquote, who are interested in poetry.
And as an attempt to round out their...
I think that we could wrangle a few of those and get them to be part of a podcast or something like that. There are famous actors, there are famous models who have a genuine interest in poetry.
Sure. And, Stephen Downey was the best at that, by the way, because we had one chance. Who's that actress? Let's see. She was on The Good Wife. And she was married. You remember her? She was married to the actor that would do performances with us.
You mean... Kate, well, there's K.T. Sullivan, and then there's Elizabeth, K.T.'s mother.
No. Christine Baranski is the actress.
Oh.
And
Christine.
Her husband was Matt Cole. Remember Matt? He would come in, and he was the old actor. I'm an actor, and he would perform in Browning. He was like a pirate in like all these movies. But Christine Baranski was his wife. And he came to all the meetings. He passed, 6-7 years ago.
Some of these actors even write themselves, like Franco.
Yeah, but Franco's not what you want right now. But Baranski, especially in regards to...
I'll tell you somebody who does. Art Garfunkel. I was reading his Wikipedia page.
There you go.
He taught, he learned poetry, you know, kind of midway through his career when he had deliberately made some downtime of a couple of years in the 80s. And he also, he's a bibliophile, and he's read 1,000 books, and he's listed all of them on his website, and he's numbered them. Oh, such and such a book is number 262, which was on the following date. All that, you know, he walked across the United States back and forth several times and across Europe. So he does these projects that are, you know, extreme, but they're very extreme literary or observational. And so, you know, he's got poetry out there in the field. He probably could write more. He's 78 now. And it's an interesting guy. So,
he'd be a good one.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, the story I was telling you about Baranski was, she was supposed to do the luncheon and the Times were going to cover it. And it all fell through. She couldn't come. The Times didn't do an article on the Browning Society. But Downey was really aiming for that larger sort of.
But it's still a good idea.
Yeah, it was a great idea. And my idea, well, regardless of how I feel about him personally, Stephen King is a Browning file. That would be a big name that would maybe wrangle in, but he's a very political.
Absolutely. But even people you would never think of, like the model Amber Tamblyn, writes poetry, and she has like a huge following. There's people like that out there, these celebrities.
All right, so Tom, you take Amber. Herb, you take.
There's somebody, by the way, who's a regular. He comes occasionally. He plays the piano and sings. His name is Steve.
He's the Ukrainian guy.
No. This is a very famous guy who
Steve, he plays with KT.
Yeah.
Yes, I know who he is. I've met him. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So he's probably done narrations before, like the CD, you know, stuff like that. So he's somebody who could read poetry in some kind of, you know, new project.
Yeah, the CD.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's it.
It came out right when people stopped playing CDs.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures there,
That's the truth. That is Steve Ross.
Steve Ross, yes. Yeah, I mean, he's a very, you know, like approachable guy, and very smart.
These are the big people in the cabaret world.
These are all cabaret actors, but you know, sad thing is.
Ross, ROSS?
What's that?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he performed at the.
But like Matthew Coles, I said Matt Cole. Matthew Coles, he was the one. Do you remember him?
Yeah, sort of.
He would always do. He would get up and do like the monologue. He would do a Browning monologue, dramatic monologue, as like an actor, like a Brown. And he's on. You know, he does that on the CD as well. And that's all on the website. So you guys have access.
Yeah. So what I was saying earlier is there's this halo around our club of people who used to, you know, drop in every third or fourth time, or maybe more often, and because they were both literary and they liked the values that we were able to project, you know, through the Brownings.
I think it was also, yeah, absolutely. Everyone had a great time. I mean, you remember her, you know, their meetings were packed.
Yeah.
The meetings were packed. Always
we should contact Dick Cavett.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dick Cavett would be, Dick Cavett would go for this.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, what you need is a frontman. So that's why I'm saying the brilliance of Stephen Downey was. Downey is he was a social mixer. So he was always inviting people. You never met Stephen Downey, he didn't give you a flyer for something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You need a little bit of that too, as well.
Yeah, well, he brought a friend in, the accountant, woman, but she's the one with the wheelchair.
Forever.
No, that's because we've not been accessible. But I mean, we have not had physical programs. But let me explain that. I asked her why she didn't come to our virtual events, and she says that her work stuff, was going on at the same time. So she wasn't able to attend it. She if not for that, she probably would have, because she has in the past. But
which brings me back to the old question of the time of the meetings. I still think 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon is not accessible to the vast majority of people.
So we have a complete reset now. We don't have to do 1 p.m. at all for the physical meetings in the future. We don't even we can do whatever. I mean, if that's an issue, then I think.
Yeah, we could do 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, or, we could do 4 or 5 if that has an advantage.
It breaks my heart because I actually like it, because see, for me, the reason why the Browning Society works is because it is on 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, which means you have to make it your priority. That's a destination. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And if we have to make it more accessible, then you might lose some of your base. I mean, we don't even have a base. We don't even have a.
We've been having 10 people at our meetings, at our last live meetings. I mean, that is not a successful club, it seems to me.
At the National Arts Club, we never had less than 18 people at the National Arts Club. But yes,
I have never seen more than 20 people at a Browning Society meeting.
Well, Herb knows. I've seen massive.
Sometimes we've had 25 or even more.
Yeah.
And
but I'm talking about in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
that's my fault.
When the students showed up, it got pretty full.
All the downfalls in the last 5 years.
Yeah, when the place is filled with students who are chattering about something else, I don't see that as great success.
Yeah,
that was my great success. All right.
Well, it was an experience. Yeah. No. We are very vulnerable, in that between the weather and other things and people's things that go on that suddenly come up in people's schedules or their health, that's kind of chipped away, and we weren't. Yeah, 6-7 years ago, we had more on average, and then it started, plateauing a little more downward.
I guess I only joined maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and in my experience, only the luncheons.
Luncheons, that's what I'm saying. So luncheons, like we would usually get, I mean, it's been lower, but you would get like 60, 70 people for luncheons. Now it's not that. We don't even have a luncheon.
Well, if we're meeting in a restaurant,
that would be my concern about changing the date. Is if you're meeting in a restaurant, you don't want to meet at 6 or 7 o'clock, because then the space will be for business, not for, unless we're paying.
Well, yeah, it would probably be a luncheon.
Correct.
Or some restaurants close between lunch and dinner.
Well, don't some restaurants close 1 day a week?
No.
Monday usually.
Yeah. So what about the night that the restaurant is dark? That's what I was thinking of, like 6 o'clock. Because working people can't come out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
They
also often close between lunch and dinner every day.
That's more accurate. I've never worked in a restaurant that wasn't open 7 days a week, but
no, a lot of them close Monday or Tuesday.
Really? I've never
in Queens, that's
every day.
Yeah, they do. A number of them are closed one day.
Huh. Are those the better restaurants?
Although as a business model, it's better for them to be open 7 days.
They're open 7 days typically, on some capacity. But Wednesday at noon or 1 o'clock on a Wednesday on a restaurant, it might actually be really nice. We haven't seen the space, so we're gonna mark right now that all of us, this core four.
But they would have to have a separate dining room or basement on 1 o'clock on Wednesday, because that's the busiest time for luncheon.
You're
No,
right.
it's not. Is it? 1 o'clock, everything should be. Tom, you're currently working in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
1 o'clock would be perfect, between 1 and 3. That's the slowest part of the day.
Somewhere in there between lunch and dinner,
But there's no difference moving. There's no difference moving the meeting from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, is there?
because
Like 1 to 7 is what we're talking. That's what Kramer's pushing for, right? 6 or 7, right?
I'm looking for a time when people who work can come. And
Yeah.
not just retired people like me.
but we have to see this place. Some restaurants have an extra room where they book banquets. That's usually just space that's there. Not every restaurant has that luxury, but it does exist.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is a Browning related connection. This particular venue.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Because it would be free or whatever. I mean, I don't know about anything, but I'm just saying it would be that sort of a relationship.
It might work. It might work until or if he becomes super successful. In which case we'd be an impediment. But
yeah. The place Conversations New York has held events all over the city in different restaurants and atriums. And there are a lot of restaurants that are interested in having people fill an unfilled, corner of the restaurant. There's some that don't want it, and then there's some that are rather happy to have it and to have the place look like it's populated, more.
And also especially those places that we all know with a back room.
Yeah.
Like the Parkside Lounge or Otto's Shrunken Head.
I've had bands play at all these locations. Okay. So you're talking about stage.
What we're looking for is like all of these. There used to be lots of poetry readings. They were always searching for sites like this too.
I was thinking a church. To be honest with you, because
you could do it
for a long time, and church is kind of like the perfect place to have these kind of meetings.
I agree. I just wanted to say that one way to bridge the daytime nighttime preferences or needs of people is to have two kinds of events. I mean, not to alternate, but to have let's just, for the sake of argument, say that you're meeting at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So that's your regular meeting, but then we might have something that evening or an evening or two later that would be a virtual event that would take some of the themes that were learned in that presentation and have a discussion about it together with some other fresh thought that's brought in. I mean, make it rich, and the people who can. Go ahead.
I had a quick thought.
Yes.
On Airbnb and other sites, you could make it into like what you were trying to. You could make it into like a tour package almost, right?
I think you'd have some people who would be at both, and some people who would be at one, and some at another, and you would have some discussion in one thing of what happened in the other thing, a few days ago or the previous week, so that you would have a running dialogue or conversation as one of the strands of the presentation. So that way you could build a community where you have honest, rich involvement by all different kinds of people, whether they're working or not.
And so that would be, how would that logistically play out? I mean, what's the nuts and bolts of that as far as, so we have the 1 p.m. Wednesday meeting, right? We agree that can happen in a church.
Yeah.
somewhere. And then what's the next?
Okay. So let's say the either the next day or
Because you typically the Browning Society. All right, so let's go back to the beginning, okay?
Yeah.
So me and her, we've been going to the Browning Society. I've been a member for I think 11, 12 years now, right?
Yeah.
But so the whole experience of the Browning Society was you went to the restaurant, right?
Right.
You went to the restaurant first.
Ahead of time, yeah.
You went to the
Pete's
restaurant
Tavern.
first. Yeah, everyone got there. The speaker was there. Everyone was there.
Yeah.
Then you went to the club.
Right.
And then I added the barfly element.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
But
yeah.
always, so what I'm saying is that the experience of that 1 p.m. thing is you go to the restaurant, you go to the meeting, you talk afterwards. You see, that's what you're talking about, right? More of a real engagement of the experience.
Yeah, what I'm doing is saying like that, but we're expanding it so that somebody who couldn't be at the 1 o'clock thing could take some of the themes from that and take part in a discussion of those themes with a couple of other people who had been there, and that would be, let's say, half the meeting, and the other half would have some other point or presentation that was let's say an aesthetic experience. Maybe it's a reading or a film.
I'm talking about like a Bible study, like a focused Bible study with interested individuals, right?
Well, I'm talking about a clubhouse where things like that could come in. Okay. It could be done in different ways, and the tone might be varied from time to time. But now if you have like a lot of more young people who are there in the evening, they'll add their own flavor, and then maybe one of them will take over the majority of the work in managing that. So you have different voices. Maintain a connection between the daytime and the evening, and because there's some people, it's hard to say to come out at night. It could be a transportation issue.
When I get off work, I'm not going to go to a fancy fucking literary society. Okay. When I get off work, I'm tired. You see.
There's a point.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna.
People do it. I've done a lot of it.
Absolutely. No, I know you're sure.
Yeah.
This guy goes.
Which points to the fact that there are actually multiple types of potential audiences.
Correct.
Like we could even do an event at one of these bars on Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village that have a little back room where they have a comedian do their act, and they come out and they round up people from the bar, and they say like, come on back and hear this hear this comedian or whoever or whoever it is. And but why couldn't it be like a poetry event? I think just out of curiosity, a bunch of people would check it out.
Absolutely. So what
that's very interesting.
Is like a commune. We're starting our own religion, and there's like people that just want to go out.
No, you're showing you're embodying the life and values of poetry in where people are, and especially when they're in a mood to be spiritually affected
after a few drinks.
Yes.
So now you're talking about using an app. Okay.
Hopefully you don't run into people who've had too many drinks and interfere, but that's the downside. But the good side is that you get fresh people, and maybe you get people who are curious about this. And
well, the only other people I know that do stuff like that here in the city is the New York City Poetry Society
or Poet House.
They're the ones that run the Poetry Festival.
Oh, the Poetry Society.
Yeah.
The Poetry Brothel.
The Poetry Brothel, correct. That's the people.
Who they really are.
Yeah. but they're good people. I know the founders of that, and
So maybe we should get like some
there should be
courses.
some more involvement or some sort of, there should be some more attachment, I guess, at this point. We should be able to help each other out, sort of thing.
That might be cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, why don't we do at least one event jointly with them?
That would,
And then
that would be something we could do, like, yeah, correct.
and then the bar setting on Bleecker Street, let's say at the Poisson Rouge. You know the Poisson Rouge, which is like primarily a music venue, but they do poetry events there. And they have a stage, they have a big room with a bar and a stage. It's there on Bleecker Street. And we could do an event there together with the poetry brothel. I think it would be brilliant.
They're good friends. They're good friends. Yeah, absolutely. I think there's got to be something, right? Because they're the ones that do that. That's the kind of events they do. Is like back room of a, like, I've gone to events where it's like you walk in and it's a barber shop, and then there's like a back door, and then it's like a fucking speakeasy in the back. You know, like,
yeah,
that's the kind of stuff they
Yeah.
do. And they charge a lot, and they make, you know, and they're good events. They're very beautiful events.
Do you think that the frequency of those evening things should be once a month or once every other month? I'm beginning to think that every other month might be more advantageous. The once a month would let you experiment more with different kinds of
You have
things.
to reimagine the map. You have to think that each monthly meeting is actually a show. So like you plan it, so you get a big name, right, and then you put them on this date or whatever. Like, just out of all three of you, and I know her, I've never seen her give a lecture, but could you imagine yourself on a big stage, you know, in front of people, doing a discussion or talk? Yes.
In fourth grade, I sang introduction to, I did a solo for Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. It was an auditorium of 3,000 people, but there was just a couple of classes there.
Yeah.
So when 2001: A Space Odyssey came out,
yeah,
you must have had a certain deja vu moment.
Yeah, let's see what you're referring to me, Tom?
He's referring to the robot.
Did you see 2001: A Space
Sure,
Odyssey?
sure.
Hal, he dies. He's
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, he did. Yeah, that's what he's saying. In his earliest memory, him too.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I hope it holds up. But,
I have to take the dog out now, guys, so I'm gonna sign off.
I'm
Oh,
actually
good to see you, Bob.
Robert, not a dog. Come on.
All right, enjoy your walk.
Yeah.
Any
My
last thoughts?
turtles and my frogs.
You're looking fit. You're looking very fit.
Yeah, I should be with all those farmers' wives that I wave to.
The harvest. It's harvest time. Yeah. Well, it's May. And today looks beautiful outside.
Yeah.
It's still been cold. I know you've seen that the last couple of days, which is kind of interesting. It's never usually been like that weather-wise.
Yeah, I remember it takes usually to the last week in May to reach, a warm temperature that stays.
Yeah. It seems like we haven't had that since September last year.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. Usually there's more hot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be a real hot summer. What do you think?
Well, one of the months,
What?
usually it's July, sometimes it's early August.
Society.
Fanny, are you still with us?
Yeah, she is.
Hello? Oh, they just muted.
I hope there's good weather for the poetry festival.
We got 3 shows. We got a Browning Society show, we got a Underground Book show, and we got a Jackie Robinson show. I mean, I submitted. I've done those shows there for 7, 8 years. So the Poetry Festival will be good, and we can have the kids out from today there to perform. And other ones. I can invite anybody to perform for that. Yeah, the Poetry Festival. They're gonna let that happen, you think?
It seems so,
Okay, great.
from what I heard.
Cool. And her?
Well, it's not till the end of
July.
July.
July 24th and 25th, I think.
That's likely to be okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so the New York City Poetry Festival will be a big thing, probably.
and the turnout might even be an unusually big one because everybody will be into attending events.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people in their sweatpants or whatever.
Leisure suits.
Yeah, leisure suits. Yeah, I see that totally. I think it could be a big one. I don't know what the protocol and all that stuff will be. We'll figure that out when it comes, but I'll have a table down there just like every year. And I'd like to take mine, because I have tables. I'd like to go back down to, like, at one point, just set up a table. To me, that's where I meet. For me, that's where I operate the best. Is if I have a table in front of me with books. And people come to me and I just say hi, and they say hi, and I say, "What's your top poet? What do you like?" You know, like, give me something, and then I'll say, "Okay, I have the perfect book for you," and it's a perfect way to start a conversation. If you wanted to talk, I just want to sale. I'm a bloodthirsty capitalist.
By the way, Roberto Mendoza, who had joined us earlier, told me that he's going to have a table at the festival.
Absolutely, man. And Herb's gonna have a table. Everyone's gonna have. Are you gonna come this year? You came before.
I'm going to try to come. I would like to.
Because we'll have a Browning table. We need somebody for the Brown. Tom's the Browning table guy. Can you be the Browning table guy? Because we met Tom at the Browning.
I'll be there.
At the New
I'll
York
be
City
there.
Fest. That's how we met.
I'll be there, or I'll be square.
Okay, perfect. So you run the Browning table. I'll run the Underground Books table, and it's the same. You know, there's just we make a fort. You take like 4 tables. You know.
Maybe I'll wear a fake. Maybe I'll wear a fake beard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll rent like a Victorian outfit from some costume place.
You get it, and it'll be fun, man. I like the Poetry Festival, to be honest. I do. I think it's a lot.
Well, it's a nice feeling, you know, outdoors like that, and with the skyline, you know, over the water, and happy people walking around.
And they're just there, to be happy. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the best time to sell somebody a book.
That's right. Very open. Yeah.
I love talking to people. So what I do with the table, there's a lot of different things. This induction, you know, like you always have to have a free raffle. Starts with the free raffle, and then you get all their information, you know, names, emails, phone numbers, because they're gonna win a free book. Right? Everybody signs up. Everybody signs up. Always, and you give them a ticket. And then yeah.
It's a powerful thing. In Roman times, they had tickets, you know?
Yeah.
They had pieces of, like a domino, a piece of stone with a crease in it so it could break. And they would, when you would come in to take your seat, you know, you'd come through the gate and they would take it and they'd break it in 2, and you would keep half and they would keep half. And then you couldn't reuse it, but you had the right. You would sit in your seat. I got my thing. I belong here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was called. That had a name. Because it was an organization.
It's Italian, Tom.
What?
It's probably in Italian.
Yeah, it's Latin.
It's Latin. It's a little different.
Okay.
Yeah. But they there was an a secret organization. No, they weren't secret, but they were in the early 1600s that would name themselves after this. And there was a book that named with the same title.
Now we really have to look it up.
Yeah, I got it in my bibliography, but I don't want to.
Let me look in my Latin
It's
dictionary.
not a coin. It's a ticket, right?
It's a ticket. Wait, let me look in my bibliography. I can get it right out because Donald Dixon is the guy.
Learning something every day. Oh my God, you went to the library, brought back a book.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see if this is in my Latin dictionary.
Go ahead. I've got the bibliography in front of me now, and I'm about to find the entry.
I'm looking under ticket.
Yeah, go ahead.
If that's the correct term.
The tessera, Tess.
Oh, okay, tessera. Yeah.
ERA.
Tessera is like a piece of stone.
Yeah, that's right. The book is the Tessera of Antilia.
The tessera?
Yeah.
I've heard of the tessera before.
Yeah. Let's say ticket. Tessera.
There it is, tessera. I see it.
Yes, that's it.
It's
It's
like
between. It's in the dictionary between
Tile. It's not a ticket, it's a tile, right?
tick and tickle.
But it's a tile, not a ticket. Is that what it is? No. I'm looking up the other tessera.
Yeah, well, you could call it a tile, but it's a tile that's got this crease in the middle, like a domino.
It's an individual tile.
Yeah.
Usually formed in the shape of a cube.
Tessera, tesserae.
It's an individual tile.
Tessera, like Hazarai.
But then they can make mosaics with the tessera.
They could, yeah, if you don't break them. Well, you could even take the broken pieces and put them next to each other. Yeah.
Correct. Well, that is cool, man. Yeah, people love that sort of shit. They feel involved. And not only that, I think most people in this world, they just really want to say hello, hi, how are you? You know, they just want to interact on some level that's human and nice.
Yeah, it's an art. I mean, some people have it's so habituated that, I mean, they're so used to doing it that it just comes right out of them. You need some stimulus to open it up.
It's between the tick and the tickle, right?
Apparently, the ticket version of the tessera was a diminutive form, tesserula. Which just means small tessera. Tessera.
So a ticket would be in a small stone. Like,
so you remember there was the Roman emperor who went down into the ring. You would get one of those, the tesseras. If you went into the Colosseum or whatever.
Commodus.
Yeah.
Commodus. The son of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, he was badass. But you would get a ticket to that, is what you're saying. For any sort of public event, these tiles were used.
That's right. You would ordinarily pay for them, or somebody would give it to you.
It would be like a trade token, I guess, maybe.
It's a ticket, like they have a perforation and they tear off the stub, so you can't use it again, and they know,
Cool.
Yeah.
Tom, did you get your ticket?
Yes.
I'm just going to show you my bibliography that I dug this information out of. So let me hold it up to the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is 14 pages, and by the time I'm done, it'll be about 25.
That's a serious bibliography.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's got about 15 entries on each page because I'm including for a lot of them, retrieved from link. So you can link the actual document.
Oh,
That's nice.
That makes it much more valuable to the person who says, I want to look this up, and then they find out, well, it's in the Columbia Library, and I'm in Arizona, and
it's a very thoughtful feature.
Well, it's interactive.
Yeah.
He loves the web, the spider web, the interconnectivity. So it's perfect because it's real time,
Yeah.
You can be
Yeah.
on and people will be still clicking these links.
Now that you mention it, so it'll probably be on the I'll put it on ResearchGate on a repository.
There you go.
But it's such a mixture of things, because you've got things that are from the theater world, and then you have scholarly stuff from mathematics and history, and so it's a real
You should make a YouTube video.
Well, my wife said I should make a podcast, but maybe.
Podcast, what is the definition of a podcast? I don't know what any of these things mean. Podcast, you would have like a weekly show where you have a show or you're interviewing people. What's the
all of what you said.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to have a show on a broadcast, and you don't even have to necessarily put it on public display. You could just send copies to people, or sell them, or
you gotta get like a microphone, right?
I have a microphone. I might get a better one. but
James,
are we doing a show right now? I thought that's what we were doing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the New York Browning Society. This is our May annual roundtable discussion. We're joined with Tom Diagidio, Herb Klitzner, Fanny Cole, and David and Philip Cole. Herb, you were saying something about wanting to do a podcast. Tell me more about that.
That's a good microphone. I really like the quality.
It looks good.
But hang on just for a minute. I'm getting a possible call.
We're just going to go live to the calls, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, Stephen in Cleveland, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Well,
I like radio. I don't know what the fuck happened to radio.
Podcast can be radio.
Radio was the best. And that should have lasted civilization for thousands of years. Just radio would have been fine.
But video killed the radio star.
And then there was the astronauts. They went to in a spaceship like 60 years later, the radio.
Your friend, Mrs. Jennings, or what is her name? She has a podcast now.
She got a podcast?
Yeah, her reading series is a podcast. The Poets of Queens.
The Queen Poets, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of poets in Queens. Herb is in Queens.
I didn't know we had poets here.
Yeah, you have a whole weekly series there in Astoria.
There's a reading series.
Yeah.
It's Long Island City.
Is it Long Island City? Okay. I wonder if that's the Socrates garden.
It used to be Astoria, I thought. But
it's called Poets of Queens.
It's like Poets of Queens United.
And she invited me to read, to be part of it.
But you're not from Queens.
But I have to, right, yeah.
About
that. It would have been a medical impossibility.
Okay, all right.
But no, she invited me. I've been waiting for things to go. They've been doing it on Zoom or whatever. I prefer to wait until it goes live again. I like to have a live audience.
So are you still planning on getting into the city by, say, September?
Yes. I'm going up to Ozone Park to check out that.
So you are going to check out Ozone Park. All right.
Yeah.
Better be a nice one.
Yeah, and there is a subway stop in
is there?
Ozone Park.
A train?
Yes. I found it.
What is it?
You know about it, right, Herb?
No, Ozone Park's in the middle of nowhere. Where's this?
Yeah. That's near the train that goes out to the Rockaways.
Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
stop?
Is it?
You're gonna keep that hidden?
I forget the name of the stop, but I found it on my subway map.
C train, right?
No, it's C or A, I guess.
Well, it's the same
I
line.
think it's the A.
Oh, well, nice. There you go, buddy. Express train right there.
So I can easily come to Harlem.
Take the A train to Harlem, baby.
Take the A train. You'll get there to Harlem. Dee 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 dee.
Da, 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 da.
Take the A train.
Da, 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 da. I can hum that on the way. Anyway, you guys, I actually have to get ready to go to work. They need me. They need me at the restaurant.
I get you.
Well, you're very needable.
Did you find out more about the Toynbee tile guy?
No, but it's on my agenda.
Okay.
It's my agenda, and yeah, and also it occurred to me that it would make an interesting little video to have a search for the lost Toynbee tiles.
Sounds good.
Because that's a traditional format, you know, when you're looking for the lost whatever it may be, you know, the lost
Raiders to the Ark.
Yes.
The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The lost Toynbee. I'll note before
you're frozen. Can't hear you.
It's he's dealing with a lot. He overloaded.
Toynbee.
Right.
Yeah, the Toynbee. Are you familiar? Do you remember the British historian Toynbee, who in the 60s was
Yes.
very big? Was very
Yes.
big.
Oh yeah, he was on top. Yeah.
Right. And he was a big intellectual. Besides being a historian, they would consult him on all kinds of questions.
Yeah, he was the Einstein of the humanities.
Something like that. Yeah. He was in Encounter magazine all the time. If you remember that CIA rag, Encounter magazine, run by Steven Spender.
Who is Steven Spender?
Steven Spender.
I was just joking. You don't have to answer that
Yeah,
question. I just want to put out the microphone.
Or Stevie, as we used to call him. The Toynbee. So, did you ever hear of the Toynbee tiles?
Yeah, do you know about the Toynbee tiles, Herb?
No, no, it's
You've seen them. You've seen them before. So think about on 29th Street and 5th Avenue.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked down and it says something crazy? Like there's like something on the street. It says something like, we're going to Jupiter. Everybody's dead. 2001 was real. You never saw anything like that? Crazy tiles on, think about Manhattan. You never looked down because there was a whole bunch. I've seen at least a couple.
It sounds vaguely familiar. It's really,
what did it say?
Everybody's gone to,
I'll tell you.
everybody's gone to, yeah. Okay.
Let's see
Everybody's gone to Jupiter reminds the Clifford D. Simak, A Choice of Gods, where everybody goes to some other star system, you know, and nobody knows why they left. They were just, you know.
So here we go. Let's see. I can share. So this is us, I think, right? Share. And so these are the ones like this. You ever saw anything like this? Toynbee idea. I don't know if you're seeing. Let's see.
Huh.
Movie 2001, resurrected dead planet Jupiter. Now Gallia is called to the Helion is now searched. That's the Greeks for super hell, hell beyond hell, as Toynbee says.
Oh, there it is.
More than one.
There
hell
they are.
To get
there they are.
Words. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are all in New York?
No, they're all over the world. I mean, they're all over North. They're
all
over the
right.
United States, and then a couple in South America or whatever,
including Philly.
Yeah, well, Philly's where.
Yeah, because Herb, a guy in
This
Philly
is the one I think
started
I
these
saw.
in Philly.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a bird man. He's a recluse. And he went, and so what he did was, so, okay, look at these tiles, right? So the best way to make these tiles, he had a car and he removed the floorboard so that he could just park the car in the street, apply the tile without anybody looking at him, and then drive off. But on top of that, he had this massive radio antenna on the back of the car as well. And he would go around driving around in neighborhoods doing his own little quote, quote, podcast. And when he would drive by somebody's house, they would be watching TV. And for like 5 seconds, they'd be like, I am the Toynbee tile guy, you know?
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for the Klitzner tiles.
The Klitzner tiles.
That would, that would be a way of promoting your book.
Yeah, yes. Projective geometry, quaternion math, fractals, have all gone to Jupiter to improve the environment.
Oh, Elizabeth Jaffe has entered the room. So we got a new member coming in. Hi, how are you? Hello? Elizabeth Jaffe is joining the room.
Okay.
Wow. just as I have to sign off, but
yeah,
there
I'm
you go.
about done. Actually, we're up to 6 people again. It's kind of cool.
I see her, but she's still connecting the audio.
Sure.
Okay, well, listen, guys, really got to go or I'm going to be late. And
Tom, go to work.
It was good to see you, Tom. It
Great
was
to
a
see you.
good session. Yeah.
All right. We'll be likewise.
So we have the whole summer. We have the whole summer to figure out what we're going to do to make.
The feeling is mutual, but the very next step is we're going to shoot some footage. We're going to
go make some movies. And Herb, you got to subscribe to Jimbo Brown. You got to subscribe because it's just digestible content you might enjoy. That's, kind of unique. That's all.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Ciao, guys.
Have a good one, Tom. Take care of yourself.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, Tom.
Bye.
So Tom just got a camera like this as well. So you can make movies with these things, I just made a whole travel channel on YouTube.
That's some doing.
I put a lot of investment into it.
I'm thinking of it as like a paintbrush, and then you're creating this whole wall to,
at 4K, and you can
4K.
just do or I actually film at 2.7, but it's easier. But
yeah,
it's all beautiful. Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hi.
So you missed the meeting.
Oh, I had a doctor's appointment I couldn't get out of.
That happens. That happens.
This is the after party.
It's good to see.
Okay.
That's right.
But thanks for coming.
How you feeling? Okay.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Fine. I'm good.
Good.
Thanks.
Good. Yeah. We were talking about microphones and cameras, that are ultra sensitive, nice resolution, and the beautiful things you can do with.
Oh, wow.
So Tom
How
had
was the, students' poetry about Martin Luther King.
Okay.
How did that go?
Which one?
The poetry about Martin Luther King. She's asking about.
Yeah. What about it? What happened? Was it someone?
How was it? I was really looking forward to it.
Oh no, it was the high school award winners.
Oh.
So it was.
And did they do poetry?
Yeah, they read their award-winning poems. So what you're doing, we're still live right now, actually, but we're about to cut it quits, and then I'm going to put it all up on the internet so you can go back and.
Thank you. That's
they all
great.
performed. It was great. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was pretty cool, actually. I thought it was a great meeting. Herb missed it as well. Both of you people missed the actual performances, but the performances were fantastic. So yeah, that's good.
Oh, good.
My cat wants to get involved in the podcast.
Oh, what's her name?
Cat.
Cat. Oh, you gotta give her a name.
No, it's the only cat in the house. She knows her place. She rules the place, right? But yeah, it was good to have you out, Elizabeth. Sorry you missed it, but we're gonna put it back up online on nybrowning.org for you.
Okay, I'll check it out then. Thank you.
Perfect.
What else is new in your life that you would want to share? Just to see how our members are doing. You know, I mean, what's you're doing more stuff in like restaurants, indoors or outdoors, or things like that.
Yeah, I went to a good Indian restaurant, Tamarind in Tribeca. But it was outdoor dining.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
then
do.
last night I went with my neighbor to an Italian restaurant right around the corner, and that was indoors. That was okay, not bad. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, I live out in Queens in Forest Hills, and so we have a place near my son in Sunnyside that's called Chihuahua. We're going there Friday for lunch.
Mexican food?
Yeah, so it's very nice, especially the appetizers. You know, I mean they I forget what they're called. Whether there's some kind of chips, and then they have cake slices on them, and then the other kind has cheese, melted cheese.
Oh, yum, guacamole.
Yeah, we got one guacamole and one nachos.
Yummy. Sounds good.
Yeah. So they're outdoors, and as I say, they're near my son. That's about 25 minutes away. That's very close to Manhattan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is he in college?
He's not on an academic track. He has a disability. He's 37 now, but he's a very, very aware observer of people. He understands like the kids who are his friends. He understands their like motivations and what sets them off and other things. And he tries to. He's been a host for 15 years, almost 20 years of every Saturday. They come over and play video games and have pizza and his.
Oh, that's great! Wow.
Yeah, so he's a good host and a good psychologist, and.
Oh, that's good. That kind of smarts is almost better than whatever the other
The
kind.
Academic ones, yeah.
Academic, yeah.
I'm writing a book, and it's not academic either, but it has some flavors of academia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's about technology and individuals in the future.
I think you mentioned that before. Robots?
Robot sex.
Oh, no.
That's or robot abstinence.
Robosexuality is
So how about you, James? Have you gone out to restaurants?
No, I mean I left New York during the pandemic. I was like, fuck this. So I went over to Ukraine and Turkey, and all that stuff was open in Europe.
Wow.
So yeah, I was going to restaurants, but since I've been back, I don't think I've been to a restaurant, because I always sit at the bar. If I go into an establishment, I just, that's my place. Is like I just sit at the bar.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's even bars in New York City yet.
I don't think so.
I think today.
I know a couple, but that's those are police bars.
Today, today, bars are open in restaurants starting today in New York City.
No way, really?
Yes.
Yeah, they're
today?
opening it too soon.
You think it's too soon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, well, you just don't like your man drinking. I get it. Remember the women, all the women suffragists in the 20s? They were like taking the axes to the bars and.
Oh my God!
The temperance movement was so, they had a good cause, but they went to an extreme, and they said not one drop.
Yeah, not one drop.
Not one drop. And the people who were like Rheingold and stuff, they were pushing temperance, like be moderate in what you drink. That's the solution. And but then the women won out, on the and got the 19th Amendment passed. I think that's the one. But they also, there was a streak that was present in the temperance movement, which was nativist. They were anti-immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, they said, oh, those Germans and Italians, they're too loose with their liquor and everything else. They're really, bad moral examples. They were slandering, people from other countries. So it just shows you that when human beings can mix, like good and bad causes without realizing what they're
But
doing.
you remember the Hudson Canal, right?
No.
They built the whole big canal from the Hudson that made the whole waterway, North America possible.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The big Hudson Canal.
Yeah, they built two of them. One was the Delaware Hudson Canal, and that was the second one. And the first one was the Erie Canal.
Yeah, this is the second, but the people that worked for that, Irish, and they paid them just a pint of whiskey per day. That was their pay. Yeah.
Holy cow.
No, maybe 2 pints. I think 2 pints.
I'll give you a more extreme example. The people who worked on the railroad, some kinds of project. I'm not sure if it was railroad or something a little different, but they were, probably, 500 or 1,000 miles from home, and they're told, we're cutting your pay in half. If you don't like it, you can walk home.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's how they got in the laundry business, because they had to leave without their shirt.
Losing your shirt.
Okay.
Fanny, you still with us? She is.
They're still up there. I can see the tile. The
No.
test room. Your ticket
Who
to
is
a
that?
different picture. Yes, Fanny, can you hear us?
Who's Fanny?
Fanny is in that box that's labeled David Philip Cole. I don't know if you see the other.
Let me see if I move this maybe.
She's our oldest member. She's 98 years old.
Oh, how cool is that?
Right?
Wow.
She's pretty cool. We keep her around.
She's been a world traveler and an observant.
Absolutely. She was a punist.
A what is?
A punist. She wrote puns, right?
I didn't realize that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. You don't meet many of those.
98. That's incredible. Wow.
But her puns are excellent. Right, Franny? Let's hear a pun.
Thank you. Now,
Just one pun.
the one that just came to mind,
Okay.
the King of England, the Queen, was ennobling two men. One owned a sweets factory, candy, and the other owned a fleet of automobiles and parts. And they said, what shall they name them? They said, well, name the one, the automatic one, Lord deliver us, and the sweet, and the owner of the sweet factory, Lord preserve us.
That's good.
This was not original.
All right, one more. A dirty one this time.
Pardon?
A dirty one. A Nantucket varietal. You have that?
Hello?
Hi.
What happened?
I know. Let's see. Robert Kramer is still there, but he's blacked out.
Maybe he came back with the dog.
He doesn't know how to turn it off.
Ah,
Oh.
it's the way it is with my wife's computer. It's a Mac, and I'm not sure how to do stuff. Now I finally remember after 2 or 3 tries. It's the little Apple symbol in the upper left-hand corner, and you click that, and it shuts down.
Yeah, I don't know the apples at all. Well, I think we're gonna call it a day.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? I'm glad that you made it, Elizabeth. We're gonna be doing some more stuff, but check out. I swear by Friday we'll have.
Okay.
We'll have. Look at Robert.
What's the website? It's the National Arts Club.
No, NYBrowning.org.
Okay.
You want me to
All
show
right,
it? I'll show it. to you. Hold on, look.
Okay.
I can share the screen. That's him talking to himself. All right, here we go. See it? Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's nybrowning.org, and then it's meetings, right?
Okay.
And then it's going to be this one, our annual May celebration, a Browning roundtable discussion, plus Robert Kramer singing to himself.
Oh, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I like it. Is this violation? Is this consensual recording of Robert Kramer?
Yeah, maybe we better sign off.
I want to hear how it ends.
Maybe it's a sea shanty.
It is a shanty.
Feel like a voyeur. Okay, I'm gonna sign off.
Have a good one. We're all going. I'm going to close the Fanny, have a great day. I was stop recording. Fanny, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Here I am.
You got one more pun for us, or we're all signing off, okay?
I can't think of any at the moment.
Oh, well, how are you? How's everything? You okay?
The only funny one was a political one when our former president, Trump, was speaking about Pence, and he forgot his name, Pence's name, and he referred to him as Pound.
Pound. Ezra Pound. I like
Instead of Pence.
Full circle.
Didn't know a pence from a pound.
Well, we're going to call it a day. Thank you for coming out, Fanny. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Take care.
Have a good one, Herb. It was good seeing you, Elizabeth. Absolutely amazing.
Same here. Really nice.
All right. You guys take care.
Bye,
I'll see you soon. Bye.
They can't see.